A man asks a lady why she is dressed like that. She says that she has already heard about it, and he claims that the rumors are true, and he really does not know how to take his eyes off her. The main character, dressed in a very revealing outfit, walked the red carpet, and at the same time all eyes were directed only at her. Suddenly, the girl hits the man on the head, causing his wig to fly off and fall to the floor. The man cries out in surprise and asks what is going on, and he wonders how she could do this to him. Miss Deborah replies that her hand slipped and says that this time she dislocated her wrist. He asks how she, a princess, can allow herself to do such things. The main character replies that the Lord has a very oily face, and that's why her hand slipped. And at that moment, she wondered why she was asking such stupid questions. The lady offers to wipe his face and claims that not only is this bastard a cheater, but he also thought of pushing his pregnant wife down the stairs. At this time, the surprised aristocrats ask what it was and who invited this strange woman to the party. Hearing this, the lady thought that they were not even embarrassed to whisper behind her back. However, she understands that they have nothing else to do in this life. The girl thought that even birds do not fly at her whim, because she is the daughter of Duke Seymour. Suddenly, Viscountess Ripley's comes up to the girl and says that she would like to tell her something. And at that time, she thought that she needed to reprimand her because she could not behave like that anymore. The lady hesitantly tells the girl not to get too excited because she is worried about her health, and asks if she understood her, and then quickly leaves. The main character realized that the lady suddenly became very nervous when she started talking, and thought that she was afraid of her for nothing, because she understood that in fact, unlike the rumors about Deborah Seymour, she is very timid. Deborah thinks that she shouldn't be upset anymore, because she doesn't want to be timid and kind anymore, and she decides to live as if she is the devil incarnate, and no one should know that she is actually an idiot. The main character remembers that she was an idiot when her boyfriend wrote her notifications on her phone, asking her to lend him money because her aunt suddenly died. After reading this, the girl thought about poor Han Jun, and then sent him money. In response, he wrote that he would return the debt to her as soon as he had money, and called the girl an angel. Suddenly, the lady became interested in why some relative of his died every week. Well, when she saw her account, she realized that she had very little money. On the way to the library, Deborah felt her stomach growling and thought that maybe she should eat some triangle kimbap. The girl heard a familiar voice and then looked and saw her boyfriend telling his friend not to step on his shoes because they were new. The guy asks, in surprise, if these aren't the limited edition shoes. Hanjut says that these are the ones he had to work so hard to get. At this time, the main character was surprised because she wondered if he should not be at the funeral now. A friend asks the guy where he got all that money from. Hanju explains that he came across this idiot Do-hee. Hearing this, the girl does not understand why he decided that simply saying her name is not enough, and she felt offended that he called her that. The guy asks if he asks her to give him money, and he wonders if she just gives it to him. He also wonders if she does absolutely everything for him. Hanju replies that he talks about a relative's death every week, and she sends him money. The guy asks in surprise if she is his personal ATM, and he wonders where he found such gold. At this time, the girl remembered the conversation about how he told her that he liked her because of her kindness, and then she began to cry. Suddenly, her mother called her and asked if she was going to go home, and said that she needed to wash the dishes and give Dojin something to eat. After all, she was leaving because she had a meeting. The main character asks if he can't eat himself. Mom is surprised and asks what she is talking about, and asks if she can feed her little brother. The daughter screams and asks if he has arms or legs, and also wonders why she should feed him if he is already such a grown-up moose. Do-hee has always heard that she is very good, and thinks that this is the same as saying that she is an idiot and is very easy to use. She understands that she should have realized this earlier, but she became interested in why the most important consciousness came just before her death. After all, she died so senselessly. Do-hee moved into someone else's body, namely into the most ordinary harem, which is called the enslavement of the Black Thorn. The main character found herself in the body of the novel's villain, whose name is Deborah Seymour. When the girl opened her eyes, she became interested in where she was, because she knew for sure that she had been hit by a motorcycle. And then she looked at her hands and did not understand why everything was okay with her. The lady decides to look in the mirror, and when she saw herself in it, she screams and says that this girl is very beautiful, and she wonders why she doesn't wake up, and then she hits you in the face and realizes that it hurts, and she is not sleeping. At this time, the maid entered the lady's room, and when she saw her, she dropped the tray on the floor, and then she falls and asks for forgiveness because she has no mercy, and screaming says that she saw nothing. The maid asks for mercy, and the girl does not understand what is happening, but for some reason this name is familiar to her. Suddenly, the main character remembered that she had read the novel, The Enslavement of the Black Thorn, and realized that this was the name of the villain in the book, and the writer decided to make this character a cold-blooded villain. The main character remembers that the most popular comments were always negative towards Deborah, and she is the most typical character who committed evil over and over again, and eventually sadly plunged into eternal sleep. Deborah thought that she had red eyes, like blood, and long purple hair, and she looked just like the main character was described in the book. The Duke enters his daughter's room, and screaming asks what happened to her. The girl realized that he is Deborah George Seymour's father. The Seymour family has a long history. The father is one of the top 5 magicians, but he is a very reserved person, and the only one who managed to gain favor was Marian. But Marian died while giving birth to Enrique's youngest child, and he became an even more evil and cold person. The father tells his daughter that she is pathetic and asks if she has decided to fast this time. He claims that his daughter is a disgrace to the Seymour family. Having heard this, the girl realized that he was unhappy with his daughter, who is now her. The Duke asks how one can do such stupid things with an appearance like Marianne's, and also wonders why she needs the jewel. Deborah knows that there is only one pink diamond in the kingdom, and she wanted it so much that she decided to go on a hunger strike. At this time, the main character realized that she felt crazy hungry. The man claims that he will not tolerate her antics, and then says that this is his last warning, and says that she is punished. Hearing this, the girl does not understand how her father can be so handsome, and at the same time cruel, and then apologizes. The maid screams and asks for forgiveness, claiming that it is all her fault, and also asks to spare her this time. The girl realizes that she does not want to play this bad role in the novel, and then suggests to the maid to leave. When Deborah was left alone, she said that she could go crazy, because she always thought that she would remain an idiot. She wondered why she didn't move into the main character, or her friend, because she doesn't understand why she got such a character. But after 10 days, the main character thought that in fact, everything was not so bad, and she realized that with such a bad reputation and terrible character, life is not so bad. Sitting at the meal, the girl does not cease to be surprised, because every day she was brought a lot of food, and she thinks that this is not even bad. And then she suggests that the maids leave and thought about how she does not like it when someone watches her eat. Deborah realized that it is much better to be evil than to be a person who is used by everyone, and it seems to her that the body remembers some actions itself, and she does not even need to strain herself. And for the first time in 24 years of life, she tried a luxurious life. The main character remembers that in her past life, she clearly could not taste real luxury, and believes that if this is her punishment, then she would like to live her whole life in this punishment. After some time, the woman turns to the lady and says that she is glad to see her. Then she explains that she is the second daughter of Baron Giotto, and her name is Helen. The young lady thought that because she had received a punishment that prevented her from going out, she could still call a designer and try on new dresses, and thought that this was not just life with a gold spoon, but with a diamond one. After all, she was fed and dressed, and she was not used to that. Suddenly, the main character saw that many outfits were being brought into her room, and she did not understand what it was because she was seeing such luxurious dresses for the first time in her life. The girl doesn't understand why her room now looks like a VIP lounge in some cool department store. The designer says that it is a great honor for her to show her their dresses, and at this time she does not understand why the lady has no reaction and thinks that she did not like the dresses. The main character realizes that 3 weeks ago, before Dohee entered her body, she told the designer to make her new clothes. Helen explained that she already had so many orders this season, but the lady asked if she was refusing her. The designer screamed and said that she would do everything and come back to her. Helen turns to the Duchess and says that these dresses are very popular now, and at that time, she hoped that the lady would not be angry with her and nothing would happen to her. And then she asks if she would like to see a dress with a white lining. Deborah looked at the dress with delight and thought that she liked it because it was very beautiful, and thought that this is the life with a diamond spoon in the mouth, because this dress will look beautiful on anyone. At this time, Helen is afraid to say something so as not to get it from the lady, but then she makes up her mind and asks how she likes the dress. The main character thought that this wool would make her sneeze, but she believes that she can stand it. The designer says that this dress is only a small part of what they have made, and then says that if she gives her 3 days, he will bring her an even more exquisite and luxurious dress. Hearing this, the lady thought that there were other dresses, and even better ones, and then she sneezes. The designer says that she will now go and make a dress to her taste. The main character suggests adding more gems to it because she wants it to be bright. The girl sighed and thought that finally she was alone, because it was so hard for her to hold back her sneezing, because she thought that a dress made of jewelry was much better, because later she could exchange it for money or gold. Deborah looked at herself in the mirror and thought that how could she not look at her? She has a very beautiful appearance, and she looks very cool. The main character understands that she really likes this face, because before that, she had an innocent and simple image, and that's why she was always caught every 50 meters. The girl understands that now people are afraid to even be 100 meters away from her. The maid tells the lady that a tutor is waiting for her. She was surprised to hear this, and then went to meet him. Walking down the corridor, the lady thought that this is some huge building, because you can walk there forever. She understands that a lot of money and labor went there. The young lady thought that she envied life in such a place, and even with tutors, and realized that she had never even heard of such luxury. Deborah remembers that if she doesn't want to study, the teacher can stick her out of the window for it. She realizes that lately she has been having a lot of memories, and thinks that it seems like her life wasn't that hard. The main character understands that the more she is in such an atmosphere, the more she likes everything. She believes that she does not have to be as pathetic as she was. Suddenly, the girl saw the guy and looked at him in surprise, and then remembered that this is the younger brother in Bellex Seymour. He is one of the twins who can then lead the Seymour family. The talented twins compete fiercely for the title of head of the family, and therefore their relationship with each other is not entirely simple. Bellex turns to the lady and says that even the tower heard about her stupid behavior, and then says that Frederick is a very capable scientist, and suggests that she behave normally. The main character knows that he will eventually kidnap and imprison the main character, Mia Binoche. The girl understands that if this were the real Deborah, she would already be arguing with her rude brother, but she believes that she is not her, and in comparison with her family, this is just a piece of cake for her. Like Bellex Rosard, worked hard to be recognized as the head of the Seymour family. The lady knew that she was just an ordinary slacker compared to them, and believed that thanks to him, well, she can relax. The teacher suggests that the girl begin studying history. He says that Astia is a prestigious family whose power is second only to the imperial one. He says that the magical Seymour, the elemental Montes, the strong Orgos, and the precious Viscounts, and these are the 4 main families. By the arrangement of the 11th emperor, the Seymour family was given the right to rule the magic tower for their contribution to strengthening the imperial power, and this right has remained with them for 500 years. Mirju Seymour was the first head of the family, and he helped the first emperor found the country. After a lecture about the Seymour family, the main character realized that he is an 8th grade mage. He is also the founder of the Magic Tower. Therefore, no matter how crazy the family is, they are still forgiven for their talents. And she believes that this is no longer a diamond spoon, but an orichalcum spoon. However, Deborah wonders how this lady could have come to such a miserable end. The main character entered the second building of the Seymour family, which was a training center for magic. She understands that now she needs to start the next lesson. The girl saw a woman whose hands were shaking and remembered that they were trying to get rid of everything that could be thrown away. She wondered how many magic teachers had changed before. The lady became interested in why Deborah could not use magic, because she understands that usually in novels, everyone knows how to use magic and is good at fencing. The Seymour family is known for their magical abilities, and the Duke and the twins are true geniuses in magic. She thought that maybe it was all because of the debuff, a slang term for an effect that weakens a character or hinders him. However, the main character believes that no one can stop someone as beautiful and rich as she is. At this time, the teacher looked at the lady and thought that today she was even more strange and that she was scared. And then she asked if she didn't mind, could they start the lesson? Deborah has become a villain by bullying everyone around her because of her inferiority complex, so she has no choice but to adapt to her character. In the book, the main characters are very capable, and Deborah did nothing but persecute everyone. The lady believes that if she lives peacefully, no one will touch her. The girl thought that at first, this extreme care seemed strange to her, but she understands that now she really likes everything, and she wants this life to last forever. The main character believes that she will need to change Deborah's fate. After all, she knows that firstly, the reason why Deborah was imprisoned in a monastery is all because she constantly pestered the main character, Miyabiosha. The girl always grabbed her by the hair, slapped her, put all sorts of crap in her drinks. Deborah did a lot of things, but the worst thing she did was the damn doll. After this, the second prince uses the cursed doll as an excuse to accuse her of blasphemy. After all, in the empire, the status of saints is higher than that of the emperor or nobles. After Mia went through all this torment, she was called the Reincarnation of Saint Nyla. Deborah was able to escape the death penalty at the time because she was from a noble family. She was sent to court and then to a monastery. The main character thought that she didn't like this ending of the story at all and believed that her main task was not to get close to the main character. The girl understands that fortunately now she is at the beginning of the novel, and Deborah has not yet had time to meet Mia. And this is the content of the beginning of the novel, the enslavement of the Black Thorn. The story begins with the main character being attacked by a monster and falling in love at first sight with the one who saved him. The guy asks the girl how he can repay her for saving him. However, she objects and claims that she did what she had to, and then says that she just hopes that he, Philip, will soon recover. The man says that Mia's birthday is coming soon, and he doesn't know what to give her. The assistant tells the gentleman that there is information that the most luxurious diamond of the empire is put up for auction, and it is pink, the same color as the saint's hair. It all started because of this pink diamond, because it is the cause of all the misfortunes. The price of the jewel skyrocketed, and without the Duke's help, Deborah could not buy the diamond. At that moment, Philip manages to buy the diamond for Mia, and all the troubles begin from that moment. Unsuspecting Mia wore the pink diamond on her neck. And then at the academy, Deborah ripped the diamond off Mia's neck. As it turned out, she had loved Philip since childhood. The girl thought that in any case, she needed to make a list of what she couldn't do, and that was crossing paths with the main character and running after the pink diamond. The lady thinks that this is the main thing, and there is nothing difficult about it, because living as a young Doha is much more difficult. She thinks that she will try to do everything right, and she will have a happy life and she will never give up. The main character thought that first she needed to deal with Duke Seymour. The gentleman looked at the diamond and said that he had finally finished with it and thought that the second diamond was very beautiful. and he thought that the master would pay a lot for such a stone on the market. The man asks if he really thinks so, because it seems that before this, he didn't really like his find. However, the guy claims that he is being honest with him, and he, like the master, thinks that this is a very unusual stone. The gentleman says that the colored diamond will be in great demand on the market, and the craftsman learned from an informant that Philip Montes is in love with a woman, and specially made the diamond to match the color of her hair. Deborah understands that it looks like it is currently being auctioned, and believes that there is no other diamond like it anywhere else, because Philip has recently started to take a closer look at it, and understands that he probably wants to give it to the saint for her birthday. Everyone was thinking about that diamond in the market because of the competition in the noble families. Everyone is talking about the pink diamond will have an astronomical price. The man claims that everything is going according to his plan. The master asks what the deputy guild will say about this. A lot of time had passed since the deputy worked with the master, but no one ever found out what was really going on in his head. The deputy head of the guild says that the Duke has not been very fond of Deborah Seymour for a long time, and he knows so well that because she wanted this diamond, the Duke punished her. Hearing this, the guy thought that the miss would not get it unless the Duke helped her. At this time, Duke George, sitting in his office, thought that Deborah was too quiet. He knows that his daughter loves to behave extravagantly and spend a lot of money more than anyone else. But he considers it suspicious because she even began to starve because of this stone and mock herself. The gentleman thought that the more he thought about it, the more he didn't like it, because she was going to threaten him that she would kill herself. However, he believed that he was still not going to dance to her tune. Suddenly, the butler enters the master's office and screams at him. He is surprised because he did not even knock. The butler reports that the miss is currently digging up the Duchess's rose garden with a shovel. The Duke heard this and got angry, then went towards her and thought that this was impudence, because he didn't understand how she dared to climb into his wife's garden. And he understood that he couldn't stand it anymore. The Duke screamed and asked what she was doing here, and at that moment he remembered his wife, who was holding her little daughter in her arms. The gentleman asks what she is doing here. The lady replies that she was walking and also watching the roses, and then explains that this type of rose cannot be seen in winter. At this time, the Duke thought that maybe she was deliberately imitating her, knowing that he would get angry, and he thought that this was very clever. And then he asked what kind of walk, and reminded her that she only thinks about her stone. The girl asks what is the difference between a diamond and these flowers. The Duke asks what she is talking about, and then claims that he sees no difference between a diamond that does not spoil and roses that have no smell and never fade, thanks to magic. The father asks if there is any difference for her between a stone and a flower that her mother grew. She claims that these are not the flowers that her mother grew. The lady claims that flowers wither in winter and bloom again in spring, and asks if that is why everyone loves flowers. He says that the daughter simply does not admit that she is engaging in sophistry. The main character explains that this is not sophistry, but that it was written by her mother. She shows her father the paper on which it is written. The gentleman read a letter that was written from Marion Seymour to George Seymour about how flowers wither in winter and bloom again in spring, and that is why everyone loves flowers. The father asks in surprise where she found it. The daughter shows the hole she recently dug. When the girl came to her room, she thought about how she was so scared, but she realized that it was good that she found the letter, because she couldn't even imagine how she could communicate normally with such a father. Deborah realizes that she risked her life because of this letter, and it was dangerous, but she thinks that luckily she remembers this moment from the book. Lady remembers that she actually found the first letter in the book from Mia Binoche. Mia was kidnapped by the twins, and one day Rosard took Mia to the rose garden. Rosard said that if she was with him, she would have all the jewels and this beautiful garden, and then screaming, he asks why she doesn't agree. The guy asks if she is a fool or is she deliberately provoking him. But suddenly the girl fell and saw a chest that she dug up in the garden at night. The chest contained a huge pile of the Duchess's letters. After that, she went to the Duke and exchanged the chest for her freedom. And so Mia escaped from the twins. At this time, the main character does not understand whether it is normal that she took such an important item, because she believes that this chest played a very important role in the book. Deborah realizes that she must now instead ensure that the main character is not kidnapped by the twins, as she believes that her safety is above all else. The girl understands that there is something strange, because the book described that Mia exchanged letters. However, she does not understand why she did not use the diary. At this time, the assistant asks the miss if everything is okay. The gentleman sitting in his office reads a letter that Marian wrote to him. She writes that looking at the winter garden with bare plants, she realized how much more beautiful the flowers are when they bloom after they have withered. George thought that if the garden had not been enchanted, he would have found her letters immediately after the flowers had faded. He thinks he should have read them sooner. Suddenly, the gentleman's daughter comes in, and he asks in surprise what she is doing. The young lady explains that she heard that he has had a lot of work lately, and at that moment, she thought that she is not afraid. The daughter says that she brought him tea, and at that time she thought that he looks good now. The father asks since when she worries about him. The main character thought that he is so cool, and this man is the father of 4 children. George asks why she is looking at him like that, and then suggests that she sit down. Hearing this, the girl was surprised, because he did not kick her out. Deborah offers to eat, and then takes a cupcake, and says that this is the most popular pie in their area. The girl knows that the Duke does not like sweets, and in the diary, she saw that during the date, the Duke always ate only lemon pie, and so she decided to prepare it for him. The father says that he does not like to snack at such a late hour. However, the young lady assures that he will like it, and when she saw that he ate a little, she considers it a success. The gentleman asks the reason for her visit, and inquires whether she wants to receive something in exchange for the letter. George says that he agrees that his daughter found something priceless, and then says that if she came because of the pink diamond, then she better leave. O claims that he will not repeat the same thing twice. Deborah says that she is not going to ask him for anything, and then says that she wanted to give him something. The girl says that there was more than one letter. He asks how many she has. The daughter replies that he will find out later. The gentleman asks if she wants to beg him for the diamond with these letters. She replies that she didn't mean that, and thought that he was very hot-tempered, and then explains that she wants to give them to him, gradually, because she thinks it would be a shame if he reads them all at once. And at this time, the main character thought that it was time for her to leave, and said that it was already late, so she would probably go. The father says that he is tired of this work and thinks that he needs to walk, and then asks the girl why she is standing, and also asks if she is walking. The Duke says that the tea was strong, and thinks that it will not help you fall asleep right away, so he suggests preparing weak tea or cocoa next time. Hearing this, the girl thought that he wanted to see her again. The gentleman offers to see her more often. Deborah thought about how she felt like she was the postman, and it didn't matter to her that these letters weren't supposed to be delivered this way, but she had already given away 2 letters. The young lady thinks that there must be some progress in their relationship. The father turns to his daughter and says that it seems to him that she comes with a letter at a time when he is very tired, and asks why she wants to get that diamond so much. At this time, the young lady realized that it was time to answer him, and then says that she was born thanks to the 2 of them, and so she just thought that these letters could become a link between them. The Duke asks if she has time this weekend, and then suggests going out to eat. She asks, in surprise, what about the punishment? The father explains that she has started to behave normally, and simply suggests going for a walk. The daughter agrees. He says it is strange that she does not look happy. The main character understands that her father immediately understood everything, and she is simply very happy to be in such a luxurious house. Deborah says that she is very happy, and at that time she thought that she does not want to leave there. The girl says that they do not have to go out to talk and drink tea like that. Her father asks her what she would like, and then suggests that she speak up if something is bothering her or if she wants something. She replies that this is not what she meant and wonders if he is flattering her too much. The butler tells the Duke that he is expected in the vassal's office. He tells his daughter that time has passed quickly. She says that if he has business, then he will go, and says that they will see each other on the weekend. When the young lady left the office, she thought that now she had freedom, but she understood that it was difficult to communicate with such a cold person. After all, she understood that it was very difficult to communicate with him one-on-one. However, the girl knows that release from punishment is a good sign, because she tried so hard today that now she can rest. The brother tells the girl that she can't even walk straight, and then claims that this is pathetic and vulgar. Seeing him, Deborah doesn't understand where he came from. Belek tells her to behave accordingly, or she'll be arrested again. The young lady doesn't understand why he's so angry. A couple of days later on the weekend, the girl and her father came to the restaurant. She understands that it is very tasty here, but she wonders why there are no customers now during rush hour. The father asks why she is like this. The daughter replies that it looks like this business is doing badly. He says that it is not a funny joke. Hearing this, the girl realized that this restaurant was fully booked, and this is what was expected from a family with a diamond spoon. The Duke asks his daughter if she took the letter today. She replies that she did. The father says that after she started bringing him letters, he feels anticipation and joy every day, and then asks if this is what she wanted to achieve. Deborah says she is glad to hear this and thought that people are strange creatures because they quickly forget kindness, and it needs to be constantly nourished with something so that a person does not forget about it. The main character says that today she will give him the letter differently and then asks if he has eaten. Then can he spare her some time? The young lady thought that now his main priority was his children, and he worked every day, and his sons were too stupid to notice how tired he was. The Count was overcome by a boring and difficult routine. The girl asks her father if he can close his eyes. Then she reminds him that she told him that she would deliver the letter differently this time, and asks if that's right. The daughter says that today she will personally read it for her father. Hearing this, the gentleman smiled and asked if she was going to convey all the emotions, and then said that he didn't know that she had such a funny side. Seeing Dad, the girl thought that he knows how to smile, and first she suggests that he close his eyes because she needs to concentrate. Deborah reads about how without him, her soul is enveloped in cold, but remembering his smell, she melts, and her soul is like a white flower. The daughter asks how he is. He answers that this is definitely the poem that Marian would like. The Duke says he enjoys reading the letters, but hearing them read aloud by her is even better. The gentleman reads that his wife is now reading a poem by Lanza Schubert, and at the moment, it is her favorite poem. After all, if you close your eyes and read this poem, you can feel the aroma of white flowers, and at this moment, she always imagines him. George realizes that the letter did not contain this particular verse, and believes that she specifically found the poet's letter in order to read it to him. Deborah asks him how he found today's letter and if he liked it. The father thought that if he had simply read the letter without the poem, it would not have had such a strong effect. Belek angrily asks why Deborah keeps going to her father, and he even canceled the punishment. He also wonders why the Duke's servants can't answer this question. The young gentleman claims that it irritates him because they cannot establish the reason. After all, he thought that after Deborah went to her mother's garden, she would be punished even more. But instead of severe punishment, she now drinks tea with her father every day. Belek doesn't understand his father, because in his place, he would have immediately gotten rid of the person who tarnished Seymour's reputation. He also assumes that he could have sent her to the debut evening and married her off. The young gentleman thought that Rosa had found a candidate for Deborah Louis Gazelle, and he thought that they were definitely suited to each other, and he thought that this time he would definitely have to cooperate with his brother. Belek believes that Deborah will not stay here for long. At this time, the main character felt that her ear was burning and thought that someone was discussing her. When the girl saw her brother, she asked what was going on. He asked her in surprise too. The lady wondered if something had to happen, and then said that if nothing happened, he could go. Belek says he has some advice for his little sister. She says she will refuse, and then thanks him. The young gentleman asks if she made all this fuss about the stone, and at that moment she thought no. He says that since she wants that stone, he is worried about her. Having heard this, the girl does not understand what he is talking about and finds it strange that he is worried about her. Belek asks the girl to be polite and then touches her face. He claims that she has no brains, no ability for magic, and all she has is youth and looks. And then he says that he will introduce her to a good man. Deborah asks what he's talking about and then slaps his hand. The brother says she needs to learn more etiquette because he doesn't want her to bring shame on their family. The lady reminds him that she asked what he was talking about. The twin says that it is Louis Gazelle, and she will meet him soon. Hearing this, the main character realized that it was the pervert who pestered the main character, and then says that she will deal with it herself. The brother claims that if she could take care of herself, she would not do such worthless things. The girl says that he should stop interfering in her life, and if he is so worried about her, then let him give her money. Belek asks how he cannot interfere if she behaves like this, and then he tells her not to tell him that she still wants to be with Philippe Montes. He tells her to come to her senses and asks if she hasn't heard that he likes a girl now. Deborah says that she is not interested in him, and she thought about how he can mock his sister who has unrequited love. Her brother asks her if she thinks someone like Montes could fall in love with her. Then he claims that because of her behavior, she won't be able to move into a prestigious family of the same class as Seymour. The main character claims that she does not want to get married, but wants to be unmarried. Hearing this, the guy was surprised and then says that this is not a funny joke. However, the lady claims that this is not a joke. He says that it seems to him that the sister herself does not understand what she is saying, and then asks if the sister wants to stop being a noblewoman and is going to go to a monastery. The young gentleman suggests that it would be better not to say such words to anyone else, because he believes that she will only destroy their family. And then he claims that Louis Gazelle will be a good match for her, and she will thank him later, and then he says that they will talk about it later. When the main character came to her room, she immediately lay down on the bed and thought that her brother was crazy, and she didn't understand what had come over him. According to the laws of the Empire of Astia, all girls must marry upon reaching adulthood, and Deborah will be 19 this year, and after her debut, she must immediately find a partner and get married. The main character does not understand why such a law was added to the book, but she understands that everything cannot go so well. The young lady thought that after Kim Han-jun, all her love cells had died, and now she still comes across this pervert. The girl understands that in this case the squirrel is much more influential in the family than she is. Deborah turns to the maid and tells her to come to her. Then she says she wants to ask something. The lady wonders if the daughter of an aristocratic family refuses to marry, what will happen to her then? Hearing this, the surprised maid asks why she is interested in this question, and then says that no one has ever done this before. The maid says that she thinks this girl will lose her title and also be kicked out of aristocratic society and then sent to a monastery. Hearing this, the main character thought that in the ending of the book is no different from what awaits her. And then she understood why Belek was surprised when he heard that she did not want to get married and believed that he mentioned the monastery for a reason. The lady says that it is strange because there really hasn't been a single refusal, and then asks what to do if the family proposes to marry a man she doesn't like. The maid says that there was a miss who ran away with a commoner. Hearing this, the lady thought that she knew that there are no situations in which there are no exceptions. The maid says that as far as she knows, she accepted the new title and had no problems. But she was a 6th-grade sorceress who made a huge contribution with her husband, who was the head of the mercenaries. The lady asks if she received the title because of her contribution to the war. The maid answers that it is so. The main character thought about what it means. Then she needs to stand out in the war or take away someone else's territory. But she understands that her characters have no abilities and she can't do anything special. Deborah thought that she would then try to buy herself a title. And then she looked at her jewelry with us and thought that it would be good if she could do that. The girl understands that she doesn't even have money and she won't be able to buy even the cheapest title, but she would like to have more time for this. The young lady thought that people usually get married at the age of 19 or 22, and if she postpones marriage for a couple of years, she will save up some money during this time and thinks that there will be no problems. The main character understands that she is currently studying at the academy and thinks that this will be a good excuse to postpone marriage, but she does not understand how she will earn this money in this case. Suddenly, the girl heard someone knocking at her door, and she became interested in who could come at such a time. The father offers to talk to his daughter. She does not understand what happened and thinks that he came to talk about her marriage. The girl says that she will give him a letter. He says that he did not come for a letter and then offers to tell him what she wants and reminds that he said that he would give her what she wants. Hearing this, the lady does not understand what came over him, and she says that she was glad to read him letters every time white flowers bloom and snow falls, and at that time she thought about him not throwing her out of this house because she wants to live there as long as possible. The Duke says that he realized that she really wants to be a link between him and Marion. Well, the girl realized that from his expression he wouldn't say so and thought that she was scared. The gentleman assures that this is not a test, and therefore she can say whatever she wants. Hearing this, the girl thought that it would probably be better not to refuse him. Deborah asks if he could invest in her business. Then, the Duke, surprised, asks if she wants to run a business. The daughter says that she has a very good idea. Hearing this, George says that this is unexpected because he was sure that she would ask him for a pink diamond. And then he agrees and asks how much she needs. The main character wrote the amount on a piece of paper and said that she thought it would be enough. The gentleman wondered if she wanted to do business with this money and wondered if she had accidentally missed 10. The father says that he will send her money. Hearing this, the girl was happy and then thanked him. The Duke can't understand what came over his daughter. He thinks that she realized that she wouldn't get the diamond, and that's why she wanted something very important instead of the diamond. George recalls that he had already promised everyone that Deborah would not buy the diamond, and believes that perhaps she did not insist on her own because she realized that his authority could fall if he did buy it. The gentleman understands that after this, she decided to ask for money for the business, named a small amount, so as not to burden him further and so that his authority would not be undermined. And he believes that she thought everything through because she began to think a lot about something and recently began to behave differently. The father thought that his daughter was trying so hard and that she was very smart, and he, as the head of the family, did not even notice anything and did not help her. The Duke tells his assistant that it doesn't matter how, but he must buy the pink diamond. A few days later, the main character saw a box containing a pink diamond and a letter. She wondered if Philip was the one who was supposed to get it. The girl reads that her kindness should be rewarded, but her father is worried about the fact that in exchange for these precious letters, she only received some money, and he thinks that he should not pretend that he does not know what she really wants. After reading the letter, the main character realized that she had asked for little money and that she needed to ask for 1 billion. Deborah thought that she had acted like a fraud, but ended up receiving compliments and gifts and thought it was convenient to be a villain. The girl remembers that when she lived as Yoon Do-hee, she always behaved in a friendly manner, and it was worth refusing her a couple of times. as at that very moment she would hear that she had a bad character. The main character understands that she has lived her life in vain, but she believes that Philip will not kill her if he sees this necklace on her. She thought that she could auction it off to a charity, although then her father would find out about it and think that she had ignored his sincerity and therefore would no longer do anything for her. The main character closed the box with the diamond and thought about how she would later decide how to use it. However, now she has the initial capital and 24 years of slavery in a capitalist society. Deborah thought that her passion for business could help her postpone marriage, and she became interested in how much she could earn. But she realized that she would need to find helpers for herself. The assistant tells the master that the pink diamond was sold at a very high price. He asks how much it was sold for, and the man shows the documentation. The master asks if Duke Seymour bought it, and then says that he thought Philip would buy the diamond for Mia. However, he realizes that the bid was much higher than he expected, and all expectations were not confirmed, and it seems to him that he underestimated Deborah Seymour. The gentleman turns to Gerald and asks if he didn't ask him to keep a closer eye on her, since this girl is the daughter of Count Simon from an influential family. The master suggests asking the informant again to keep an eye on Deborah, as he believes that he has missed something and has some strange premonition. Gerald tells the master that someone has come to see him. He offers to come in. Deborah Seymour came to the master, and he became interested in what she was doing there. At this time, the girl thought that she had finally arrived, and this was the seventh fang of the golden dragon in the novel. He was called Cheater, and she knew that this man lived in Blanche's lair. The main character knows that he is the most skilled and secret character of this unfinished novel. Deborah doesn't understand why she, a supporting character, came to the main swindler. A week ago, the young lady examines the seal and realizes that it is exactly the seal that Master Blanche used in the novel. After all, he has a strange habit of choosing seals according to his mood. The girl understands that this seal shows that he sent her in a good mood, and she believes that perhaps this is the part of the novel where the master began to actively appear in the book. The Crown Prince reports that Deborah continues to bully Mia, and then says that he wants to get rid of her, but this is not easy since she is a direct descendant of the Seymour family. As soon as the prince has a problem, he immediately goes to Master Blanche for help. He says that if he gets rid of this lady, he will give him everything he wants. The master spread rumors about himself that he could curse anyone prompting Deborah to contact him, and the unsuspecting Deborah falls into a trap by making herself a cursed doll. The master, talking with the prince, thought about the need to make him believe that if Deborah was caught blaspheming, the issue would be resolved. The prince says that he is a good man because he believes that even such a noble family as Seymour can do nothing against the authority of the saints. His Majesty offers to check all the relevant documents and then says that he will add a little more land to him for this and assures him that he will be satisfied. The prince says that thanks to him, he will finally be able to get rid of this woman. And then, surprised, he says that this is the first time he sees this cat seal on him because he thought it was just for decoration. The master explains that he uses her for good deals or special moments. The prince asks if he likes this girl. He objects and says that she simply reminds him of the cat from this seal. His Majesty asks what the cat's raised tail means. The master replies that he usually asks for 10 gold pieces for an explanation, but since he is in a good mood, he will ask him for 9 gold pieces and 99 silver pieces. The gentleman says that he will give him a discount of 1 silver coin. The Crown Prince could achieve a lot thanks to the master, and he didn't even have any special skills, but still, he ranked first in the poll of the most popular characters. The main character understands that if it weren't for the master, no one would be interested in the Crown Prince, and at that time, she thought about using the cheater's services. Deborah lacked a person who would trust her because she had a terrible reputation. She believed that if she asked a master for help, he would do everything for money, and she only had money. The main character hoped that the master would help her, A week later, the Atra area. The girl thought that this area is developing very well, and everything is very conveniently distributed there. She thinks that this is an ideal place for real estate investment, because this area is memorable. The real estate specialist tells Miss that they have arrived. She thought that now this place is known to everyone. But after the sale of the pink diamond, this store will be the most famous in the capital. And she already hears the sound of success. The staff greeted the lady and said they were glad to see her in Diana. The lady says that she needs to know something about the pink diamond, and she wants to talk to the owner of the store. A man meets a lady and says that he is very glad to see her in their store, and then offers to take her inside. The lady replies that it is not necessary, and thought that she should tell the password to the owner so that no one else can hear them. And then she says that she came to make a deal with the seventh fang of the golden dragon. Hearing this, the man agrees in surprise and says that he will walk her to the door. At this time, the main character thought that in fact, she did not know that the jewelry store was connected with Blanche. The master thinks he is lucky and says he didn't think he would see a lady here. Seeing the cat, Deborah thought that she should be calm because she believes that she should not look scared and should act like a villain. The cat approached the girl and then began to meow. At this time, she thought that she almost screamed and then stroked her because this cat is harmless. The main character realizes that it is good that in this world there is catnip, which she hid under her cloak. The master first offers the miss to sit down and then calls the cat Cookie and tells her to come to him. At this time, the girl thought that she did not expect to hear such a name. He asks what she did with the cookie. Deborah realized that she needed to concentrate. After all, it wasn't for nothing that she had been practicing her cold expression all day. And then she said that if he wanted to know, he should pay her 99 gold pieces. The lady says that the original price was 100 gold pieces, but she wants to ask him something, so she knocked one gold piece down. The man smiled, and she saw his face and thought that he would be thin, but looked bigger than some soldiers, and also younger, and he was still good at magic. The girl became interested in who he really was. The master says that he must admit that she is the first one who has aroused his genuine curiosity. And then he says that he forgot for a second what he was doing here, and therefore asks for forgiveness for this. Deborah realizes that she needs to stick to the concept and keep a cool expression on her face. The man asks her why she came to him. The main character says that firstly, she would like to know information about Louis Gazelle. He says that Louis Gazelle is the eldest son of a local lord who owns an estate on the western border. The master reports that they say that last year a large silver mine was discovered in the west, and thanks to this, the family was able to obtain a large fortune. Hearing this, the girl realized that the Seymour Mansion and the capital are located in the east and understands that Bellic intends to send her very far away so that she can come to Seymour as rarely as possible. Deborah thinks that this is not a marriage, but an expulsion. And then she says that she does not need the usual information because she wants to know about his weaknesses. The master says that if she wants to know about his weaknesses, then she needs to pay more. The main character throws him a bag of precious stones and says that this should be enough for their entire conversation because she believes that the most important thing for everyone is to make a good first impression. Deborah says that he gives her information and she gives him money, and she thought that she should act as cool as possible when giving money because she thinks that she needs to throw money around, like the crown prince always does. The girl became interested in whether she was better than the crown prince and whether he would cooperate with her. The master says that since she has shown her sincerity, he has no choice but to help her. And then he asks who in their world has no weaknesses, and he believes that if you dig around, you will find something on Louis Gazelle. At this time, the lady thought that looking at his smile, one can say that even if Louis has no weaknesses, he himself will make them for him. And she remembers that in the original, Deborah got into the monastery precisely because of him. The girl understands that as an enemy, he is scary, but she thinks that if he is on the same side with her, everything will be fine. and then she says that she would like to talk about buying his product. The man claims that she can buy everything for a price. The lady asks the price. He says he doesn't know, because everyone sets their own price, and then says that it's nice to deal with aristocrats. The main character thought that she would not be the only one to make him such an offer, and then said that she would like to know the approximate cost. The master says that the lowest price, and then gives her a paper with 10 billion written on it. She was surprised because she thought that it would be 1 billion at most, and does not understand why it is so much. Deborah believes that in her past life, she would not have been able to save up such a sum even in her entire life. But since she now lives in a rich family, she believes that she will never marry this pervert. The gentleman says that this is not a bad price for the one who recently bought a necklace from him, and considers that this is not a high price at all. The main character thought that he shouldn't guess that this amount was big for her, but she realized that he named a simply huge amount. The girl says that she wants to exchange these pink diamonds for gold coins. Hearing this, the master was surprised, and then said that he heard that she went on a hunger strike for the sake of the necklace, and was even under house arrest, and then asked why she decided to sell the diamond. Deborah says that his information is not entirely reliable, and then says that if he wants to hear an answer to his question, he should pay her with jewelry, and then she will answer. The gentleman says that he has forgotten his duties again. The lady thought that his mood had worsened, and it frightened her, and therefore she considers that she needs to pull herself together because she is the daughter of Duke Seymour. The main character understands that the master should not guess about her plans, because she believes that if he understands, he will take away the most precious thing from her. The master asks if she has decided to sell the necklace without the Duke's permission. The lady agrees with him and says that this diamond is very famous among the nobility, and therefore the fact that it will be auctioned again will spread throughout the secular world. Deborah thinks he can sell the necklace without offending the Duke. Then she asks what she needs to do. The master says that she must return it to him. The girl asks if he wants to buy this jewel from her for half the price. The man says that he is glad that he is on the same wavelength with her. Hearing this, the lady thought that he is a real swindler, and she wonders why he wants to pay only half. Deborah asks what the hell this is, because she thinks it's a bad deal, and then says she was going to knock 10% off his rate. The master reports that there will soon be another batch of pink diamonds on the market, and believes that after this, there will be less of a shortage of jewelry, and that is why they are now at the peak of sales. The man says that if she gives them the diamond, they will be able to sell it for twice the price, and then he claims that it will be profitable for her to cooperate with him. Hearing this, the girl thought that although it annoyed her, it was true. After all, now she could profitably get rid of the diamond before the prices for jewelry fell. The price of a single diamond is high because it is a rare stone, and she believes that if they sell the stone for twice as much, she will get half. Deborah says that half will not be enough and offers her 70 to 30. He agrees if she tells what she did with the cookie. Hearing this, the girl thought that everything was not so simple with him, and the cat was always nearby. She understands that here, catnip is used only for medicine, and they do not know that cats love it very much, and it seems to her that this animal is very dear to him, because the name testifies to this. The main character thinks that it is better to hold his interest, and then suggests leaving it 50-50. Deborah says she wants to ask one last question, and then asks if there is an effective way to use the evasion fund. The master says that it seems she decided to put the money into circulation. The girl thought that he quickly understood everything. After all, she has a lot of jewelry and trinkets, but she cannot use them as cash. The main character understands that if she uses the Duke's check, he will be informed about it, and believes that this is not a solution. The lady understands that unmarried young girls cannot open their own bank account, and now she will not be able to save her money. The master says that in her case, she can dig up the earth and store the gold there, or she can make herself a safe. However, he thinks that these options are not suitable for her, and then he says that he has shown his ingenuity and asks how the miss will repay him for this. Deborah thought that he was a snake in the grass and throws him a blue diamond and asks if that is enough. The master saw the stone and thought that it was not simple. After all, he knows that this is a high-quality magic stone that is hard to extract and is immediately sent to the magic tower, and it is almost impossible for ordinary people to get it. The girl knows that this stone shows that her father is the boss in the magic tower, and she secretly stole it. The man says that it is a very valuable thing, and then throws her a bag and says that he hopes she likes it. The lady asks in surprise what it is. He explains that the bag combines the magic of space expansion and summoning, and that a lot of gold can be put in this bag, and about 50 safes can fit in there. The master explains that the risk of losing the bag is very small, because she can summon it with her palm, and also, if she completely fills the bag, it will weigh no more than 1 pound. The main character realized that it looked like a very rare artifact, and then asked if he made it himself. He replied that it was his doing. The girl realizes that now she can simply carry this small bag with her and says that it will come in handy. The man offered the girl to sign a confidentiality clause, and she thought that this was great because from now on, she could calmly accumulate gold in a bag. The lady wonders why he made it in the shape of a pouch and also asks if there is any limit to the amount of gold she can store in it. Suddenly, the girl realized that she was telling him that she wanted to secretly hide the gold and thought that she should just look at his expression because he would keep his mouth shut. It seemed to her that it was better to show her interest in the scams. Deborah says that if she had magic as well as he did, she would have already bought herself an island and created a ghost company and also made a teleport there. The gentleman says that this is an interesting idea and claims that it would be better to travel for long separations with a 9th-grade wizard. Hearing this, girl thought that father is the best wizard, and he has the 7th grade, and then she says that it is impossible, and he says that it would be very good. The master claims that he could do something more than this bag, and since she told him such an interesting story, he will provide her with a slush fund for free. Deborah says he should thank her because it is not easy to find such a rich, strong, and creative client as she is. He tells her that the girl has a good sense of humor and then suggests that they continue to work together. When the main character saw the seal in the shape of a swan, she realized that it meant that he was unhappy with the deal, and she wondered if he wanted to cooperate with her anymore. The master says that if she wants everything to go smoothly, she thinks it would be better for her not to visit the Atra area and suggests that she go to the Yones area. Hearing this, the main character realized that this is his store, where there is a daily queue at the pastry shop, and she thinks that he is a very rich man, and then agrees and says that she will go there. Deborah asks if she can come back to him when she has more questions. He says he's always happy to have wealthy clients. When the girl left, the master thought that he had not expected to see her, but she suddenly appeared, and so he had no other choice but to accept her. The man realizes that Deborah Seymour is different from what he heard from rumors, and he became interested in who this girl really is because he cannot contain his interest. The master understands that Deborah, despite her arrogance, behaved with dignity and not stupidly. And besides the purchase from the island, with a deviation from taxes and the creation of a ghost company, the man understands that if you think about it, it is not necessary to build on the island, since you can build dozens of ghost guilds in an area like Helea, because there are only temples there, and thus it will not be easy for the emperor to monitor the manipulations of the accounting department. The master does not understand how she could come up with such a thing, and this is ineffective what interests him in her. After all, during the conversation, she was very unpredictable, and he could not even think that she would bargain with him the way the crown prince can. The master thinks that she is very different from what he heard about her. Miguel, a vassal of the Visconti family, offers the master to let him personally find out about Deborah Seymour. The master says that he thinks he can't pass by such an interesting person, Miguel asks if he really wants to conduct the investigation himself. The gentleman informs that the semester at the academy is about to start and believes that they will see each other often anyway. Miguel asks in surprise if he will visit the academy, since he understands that the gentleman already has a lot of money, and therefore they can agree not to visit it. The master claims that there is nothing wrong with wanting to mend fences with the Duke of Seymour's daughter, and he wants to know for free what she did to his cookie. The assistant asks how he was going to get close to her. The gentleman asks in surprise whether he even saw his face. Miguel apologizes for asking a stupid question. The gentleman says that he looks unhappy and then asks if he has anything to say. He replies that he has nothing to say. The master suggests that the assistant also prepare to go to the academy. He tells Miguel to call the deputy head of the guild because he wants to add 1 diamond. Miguel asks what color the stone is. The gentleman replies that it is lavender. 10 days later, the main character thought that this alley is far away, and it is sparsely populated. And this place is of course so-so. She thinks that there are already too many pastry shops, and this is a minus. Deborah understands that she needs a special product where there will be no competition. But since spring has come, the semester at the academy also begins in the spring. According to the laws of the empire, people from those families who are personally approved by the imperial family enter the academy. In this place, the emphasis is more on socialization, and therefore the lady believes that there is no need to worry about studying. The main character knows that it won't be peaceful because she is connected to the main character. However, she doesn't want to go there because she doesn't understand why she needs to study at all. The girl thinks that she should now check how things are going, and then tells the coachman that they need to go to Maison. When Deborah came to the pastry cafe, she saw a lot of people and thought that, as expected, the master's business was going well. After all, this is the only pastry shop that has a similar approach to business. The main character understands that because of this, there are a lot of people there, because every day there is a sale of desserts, and the limited amount of the product is a good marketing move. The confectionery claims that they have few desserts left, even if this is not true at all, thus encouraging the nobles to grab this dessert for them, and they simply cannot leave without buying a dessert. Deborah tells the waitress to bring her this drink and shows it on the menu. She tells the lady that she does not recommend this drink because it is bitter and tasteless, and then she says that they are planning to remove this drink from the menu. However, the main character insists that they still bring her a vanilla cake with this drink. The waitress agrees and asks to wait a little for her order. After some time, the girls brought her order, and at that time she realized that this is her business because she thinks that cake and coffee are a fantastic combination. But when Deborah tried the coffee, she immediately spat it out. The waitress explains that this is why she said it was better not to order this drink. The girl doesn't understand what kind of drink it is, because its bitter smells strange and is just terribly tasteless, and she thinks that they roasted the coffee beans incorrectly or brewed the coffee incorrectly, and now she understands why the drink is not popular. The main character thinks that this is not suitable for her business. A lady at another table asks her friend if she has heard a rumor that Orgo is entering the academy this year. Deborah thought that she thought he was talking about an academic celebrity. Dyer Orgo is the heir to the title of head of the Orgo family and a master of swordsmanship. He has already demonstrated decent swordsmanship skills at the age of 19. And so he has every chance of reaching the level of crown prince and master. The main character understands that this is another character with whom Mia communicated, and she thinks that the girl can even think about him. The lady at the other table says that Dear is really cool, but she would like to talk to Philip because she thinks he has such outstanding skills and also has such beautiful red hair. The girl says that she would also like to meet Belek Seymour, but unfortunately, he has already graduated, and her friend says that he is so noble and smart. Hearing this, the main character thought that he starts to irritate her as soon as he says a word. The girl in the blue dress says that what she really wants most is to meet Isidor Visconti. because she thinks he's handsome. Deborah looked at these girls and does not understand what is wrong with them because they frighten her, and she became interested in who he is. Isidor Visconti. After all, she hears this name for the first time. The girl in the yellow dress says that even if she has to sell her soul in exchange for seeing Isidor, she would rather die than see his face. And the other girls agree with her because they also want to see him at least once. The lady in the red dress says that if they see him even once, he will visit them in their dreams after that. She says that this thin chin, broad shoulders like the sea, and golden hair, and she slept almost the whole winter to see him in her dreams more often. At this time, the main character thought that he seemed very handsome, and she did not understand why he did not appear in the novel. Mariella asks her friends if they heard about the pink diamond bought by Duke Seymour. We will hear this. Deborah thought about what they are talking about her now. The girl in the yellow dress says that she thinks that Miss Deborah is triumphant now and thinks that she must have her nose in the air, and she doesn't understand why, but it disgusts her. Betty claims that the diamond does not suit this psychopath, and she does not save her substance with this necklace. Hearing this, the main character thought that they talked too much. Marianne reports that she heard that Deborah recently stole Miss Helen and forced her to make her a dress, although before that, Miss Siren made the order first. The girl says that because of this, Miss Siren had to find another person to make her a dress. At this time, Deborah realized that there was probably some story about her that she had not heard about. Betty claims that such arrogance and haughtiness is unacceptable for a worthy noble aristocrat, and says that she is also untalented, despite the fact that she is a member of the Seymour family. Miss Deborah is the only one who does not know how to use magic. Marianne says that Deborah is certainly arrogant, but to ridicule her publicly is her main complex. Hearing this, the main character thought that this was too much, because this girl was afraid to touch the Duke or someone from the Seymour family, but she was not ashamed to slander Deborah publicly. The main character thought that they were annoying her, and she wanted to go home. But suddenly, when she got up from the chair, she accidentally knocked over the mug with her hand, and thought that if it broke, they would definitely notice her. But before he could come to his senses, the cup lay broken on the floor, and the ladies from the next table saw the mistress and recognized her as Deborah. At this time, the young lady does not understand why everything turned out this way, but she thinks that now is not the time to think about it, because she cannot ignore the fact that girls who are lower than her in origin insult her, and she thinks that this is the perfect chance to show that she is not a weakling. Deborah thought that she would not allow this and would no longer live like a wimp. And then she turns to the lady and says that she heard their conversation, which she found very interesting. At this time, the main character does not understand what to say next because she does not know how to argue correctly, and she thinks that she needs to come closer to them to buy some time. Deborah came up to Betty and thought about how she needed to show her hot ardor, and then she said that she heard her talking about her and asked what this lady allows herself. Hearing this, the girl in the yellow dress was very scared, and her hands started shaking. The main character asks why she stutters, because before that, she was jabbering so much that no one would shut her mouth. Deborah turns to the other ladies and asks if they have swallowed their tongues. Then she reminds them that they said she was unworthy of being a noblewoman. The main character claims that if they can't say anything to their face, then they should have shut their mouths from the very beginning. The girl says in fear that they have done something very wrong to her, and then asks for forgiveness. Hearing this, the lady thought that she had done very well the first time. Suddenly, Marianne asks Deborah how she could take the designer right before Mrs. Birthday, and then says that everyone thinks she crossed the line. The Duchess claims that she can't see the line when talking to her like that. Then she asks if she can be shown once how to really cross the line. Hearing this, the girl ran away. At this time, the main character thought that it was unpleasant for her to say such things. After all, she poured a drink on someone for the first time, but she thinks that judging by their reaction, she behaves the same way as Deborah. The main character thought that it seemed like it would be difficult to meet the master now, and thought that it would be better to come to him another time. Miguel informs the gentleman that Miss Deborah overturned the table and broke the dishes in the maison. And as far as he knows, she quarreled with the daughter of Count Eighth and eventually brought the miss to tears. The master says that Miss Deborah is smarter than they thought because she wants to show him in this way that he should do his job properly. The assistant does not understand why Miss Deborah personally came to the pastry shop instead of ordering desserts from the maid. And the master thinks that perhaps she wanted to talk to him because it seems she did not like that he was doing his job slowly. The guy asks if Miss could have simply lost her temper when she quarreled with others. The gentleman claims that she does not know such people because she is a cynical and intellectual person. Miguel says that he does not agree because judging by Deborah's actions and image, she is quite an impulsive person because she understands that there is no smoke without fire. The gentleman claims that they will soon find out who is right. Suddenly, Cookie tore up the work that the gentleman was doing, and he realizes that he will have to redo it, and then says that the cat has been acting strange since Miss Deborah came. The master says that this won't work, and at the next meeting, he will find out what the lady did with the cookie. His Majesty screaming asks the man if he thinks the Lord will believe that he couldn't crush the stone, and then he begins to be and says that he is useless. The butler informs the prince that Miss Mia has arrived at the mansion. Hearing this, he asks why. The butler explains that she said she had many patients. The gentleman smiled and asked if she was doing this on her birthday. The servant explained that it was hard for her to leave because everyone was clinging to her and saying that she was the embodiment of everything holy. Then he claimed that everyone was very pleased with her divine powers. The prince says that he does not understand why she wastes her divine power on everyone, and thinks that if he had such power, he would not suffer like this. However, he understands that he likes the fact that she is not like everyone else. His Majesty thought that what attracted him was the fact that I was not interested in power or money, and he would even forgive her for not coming to the meeting. Mia thanks Philip for inviting her. He says that he is grateful to her for accepting his invitation, and then says that today is her birthday, and therefore she needs to rest more. The girl says that she actually forgot about her birthday, and no one ever reminded her or congratulated her. She says that this year only he remembered about it, and that is why she is very happy. Mia says she feels like she's received an unexpected gift. Philip says she said it beautifully and suggests they eat first. His Majesty announces that a letter has arrived about admission to the academy. The girl thanks him and says that she has dreamed of studying there all her life. The gentleman asks her if she thought that this was the end of the gifts, and then gives her a precious stone and tells her that it is her gift. Mia looks at him in surprise and says that it is enough for her that she entered the academy. The prince asks her to accept him. However, the lady objects and explains that she still cannot accept it. Philip thought that he should have given her a pink diamond and believes that if he had bought it, everything would have been different. The prince remembered that when he saw the price, he realized that he would not be able to buy it because he understood that all plans had collapsed because of Deborah. But he believed that this elegant stone was much more suitable for Mia. At the end of the day, Mia thought that she was tired. The maid asks what she is looking at. The lady replies that she is looking at flowers. Then she shows a gift from Montez. Ophelia says that such a necklace requires a suitable dress and thinks that Montez is not as sophisticated as they say. The woman claims that if the lady wears such a necklace with an old dress, everyone will laugh at her and say that this is expected from the daughter of a fallen aristocrat. However, she believes that with the pink diamond, everything could have been different. A few days later, the main character had her first day of school at the academy, and she put on the dress that the designer had prepared for her. The lady initially thought that it was nonsense, but it really was beautiful because it suited her, and she thought that she wanted to look at that beautiful face forever. The main character understands that Deborah's appearance is absolutely to her taste, and she was so absorbed in looking at the mirror that she did not see how it began to turn over. The main character thought that she had a strong body, and it was resilient, and also that colds didn't affect it. However, she understood that in order to do evil, a lot of strength was needed, and she would be able to continue living a long life without any illnesses. The butler tells the lady that a carriage is waiting for her in front of the mansion. At that moment, she thought that he did not want to go there, and she wondered if she could stay, because she understands that no one is waiting for her villain there. When Deborah saw the carriage, she realized that one was hers, and she wondered whose the other one was. The lady looked out the window and saw that there was a child, Enrique Seymour. She thought that he was very cute. However, the boy looked at the lady and then got into the carriage. She realized that even this child hated her. However, she thinks that this is not surprising, given Deborah's memories. The main character knows that unlike Deborah, he has magic at the level of a third grader at such a young age. He is a genius who took first place among the most gifted and talented in the magic tower. And all this is about Enrique. Deborah was obsessed with the idea that she couldn't do anything, and she had a feeling of inferiority, because even a child could already master magic. Therefore, she envied her younger brother who had a talent for magic. The young lady does not understand how it was possible to mock a child like that, because she knows that this is so similar to Deborah. Deborah had a good life because she came from a good family, and she was rich and physically very strong. However, it was hard for her because she was always compared to her brothers. The girl believes that no matter how hard her life is, it does not justify her bullying her younger brother. After all, she does not understand how one can hate such a cutie and considers it unfair. The main character realizes that she needs to live the life of a villain. She thought that maybe she should be a little mean to this boy, because he is her younger brother after all. Sitting in the carriage, the lady realized that this was the Horn District, which housed the Imperial Palace and Academy, as well as the Magic Tower, the Knights' Army, the Theological Seminary, and government agencies. When the girl arrived at the Academy, she saw that there was a long line in front of the drama, and she thought that she should have gone earlier. However, the coachman was offered by the guards to go on the VIP road. Seeing this, the girl thought that this was simply unbelievable, because this is the power of authority. When Deborah came to the classroom, she wondered where to sit. She remembered that the best place in the classroom was the one by the window at the very end, and thought that even people in books seemed to think the same way as they did. But as soon as the lady looked at the guys, they immediately left, and she didn't even say anything to them. The girl understood that wherever she went, everyone treated her with caution from the front door until this moment. However, she believes that there are advantages to the fact that everyone is afraid of her. The main character saw Philip and does not understand what is wrong with her, and believes that Deborah's body gave its reaction. She remembers that Deborah first saw Philip on Thanksgiving Day, 6 years ago, when the fire happened. The prince approached the lady and asked if she was okay. It was just a rosy courtesy, and he was doing it out of politeness. But at that moment, Deborah fell in love with Philip. Since then, the girl began to run after Philip and tried to get engaged to him. However, he rejected the proposal, and Deborah's pride was greatly damaged. And after that, she became even angrier. The girl understands that Deborah was not behaving quite correctly, and she became interested in why he was staring at her like that. The main character realized that they thought that she would do something to them. And when she saw Mia, she realized that she was very beautiful and the most popular innocent and pure beauty. Sitting in the audience, the lady understands that everyone has already painted a terrible picture for themselves, but she does not want to be the center of attention. Mia says that there are so many elegant and sophisticated people in the capital, and the prince asks what she is talking about. The girl explains that this lady with purple hair is very beautiful. Hearing this, he thought that if she knew who this lady was, she would take her words back. The gentleman looked at Mia in surprise and thought that she really didn't know anything about it, and he wondered why Deborah was so calm. After all, he knew that this woman was always the first in bragging and vanity, and she didn't have a pink diamond. Philip does not understand what she is up to and thinks that maybe she changed her behavior to attract his attention. The gentleman became interested in where Mia saw beauty in this girl. However, he understands that, if you think about it, she looks graceful, and in general, it seems that she looks good. Mia tells Philip not to worry about her. He says that she is much more beautiful and elegant, and Deborah is not even close to her. Hearing this, the girl suggests not to say that, because she is not better at all. The prince says that she, unlike some others, is modest. The main character got very bored in class and fell asleep. She had a dream that Hanjun invited her to eat because he was paying this time. The girl thanked him and then said that she was already hungry. The guy said that after eating he would like to drink coffee, and she offered to buy it. Hanjun asks if she can have coffee from the new menu. Hearing this, the girl thought that it was very expensive, but she agreed to buy it. The guy says that if he collects 2 more stickers from them, he will be given a diary. Do-hee says that then she will give him her sticker, and at that moment, she realizes that she should not give this idiot anything. But suddenly the girl was woken up by a guy who said that the lesson was over. Seeing him, she does not understand how a man can be so handsome, and thought that maybe she was still sleeping, but she asks who he is. The young gentleman asks in surprise if she doesn't know him. The lady asks if she should know, and at that moment she thinks that she is confused. And how can she not remember such a handsome man? The guy smiled and said that she didn't owe anything, and then said that his name was Isidor Visconti. Hearing this, the girl understood that he was the favorite of those misses, and now she understands them. The main character thought that if he were in Korea, his life would definitely be good. And then she asks what he wanted. Isidor says that it seems to him that she has not learned everything, and then suggests taking notes. At this time, the girl thought that she also met that idiot Hanjun like that, and she doesn't understand why she remembered about it, and she says that she doesn't need it. The guy asks her if she had a nightmare, and then explains that she was frowning in her sleep, and he thought she needed help. He asks if the girl is hungry, since it is lunchtime. She says she is not hungry, and the guy says he is not hungry either. Isidor offers the girl to drink tea, and at this time she does not understand what is wrong with him, because he has a relaxed smile and casual conversation. The lady says that she does not have time. The young gentleman says that he will take her to the carriage, but the girl quickly leaves. Deborah thought that this blonde guy was damn handsome, and she understood that it was dangerous because he could turn into a wimp again. The main character understands that if she cannot resist him, she will ruin her family. The assistant turns to the gentleman and then reminds him that he said he would have lunch with someone and asks if he has returned. Isidor wonders if he asks because he really doesn't understand or just to make fun of him. He replies that it looks like the gentleman's method didn't work because he's not in the mood right now. The guy claims that his beauty couldn't help but work because it's the 7th wonder of the world. The assistant says that apparently he's just not Miss Deborah's type. However, the gentleman claims that this face cannot help but be liked. Gerard says that there is always an exception, and it seems to him that Miss Deborah likes Philip more. After all, she even began to say that she would soon marry him. At this time, Isidor does not understand why he is upset, and then he says that he still has a lot of things in store, and therefore believes that there is no point in clinging only to beauty. Gerard asks if he is changing strategy too quickly after one failure. The gentleman claims that he hasn't even begun to show his charm yet. At this time, the main character thought that she had another problem, because Pangea is based not on academic, but on social engagement. Therefore, for this reason, social clubs were created at the academy. All nobles wish to join a prestigious social club, because the nobleman's reputation in the social world will depend on it. The girl thought that perhaps Deborah would choose the Arachron Club. Men belong to a fraternity group, and women belong to a sorority. Deborah tried to intimidate Mia at the Arachron sorority, and her reputation was ruined. And the main character realizes that the more she gets to know Deborah, the angrier she seems. The girl thinks that she needs to avoid this club because she doesn't want to meet the main character again. The young lady understands that there are other clubs besides this one. But the problem is that in these clubs, it is important to be not only in a good family, but also to be able to have a good reputation and character. And she understands that she has neither abilities, nor reputation, nor normal character. The main character understands that she can be condemned for the fact that she got into a miserable class, and she thinks that this will only play into Bellic's hands because he wants to kick her out of the family, and then everything will end with a wedding. Deborah thought that this was giving her a headache. Suddenly, the lady saw Sir Isidor, around whom many girls had gathered, and she does not understand why she has such a feeling, as if she sees the halo behind him, and thinks that this is a real joy for the eyes. The girl realized that he saw that she was looking at him, and then she wanted to pretend that she did not see him. But the young gentleman raised his hand and waved to her. Isidor asks the girl where she is going. Deborah wonders why he is asking her. He says that they could have a cup of tea if she has time. And at that moment, the main character thought that she shouldn't come up because everyone was looking at them. And then she said that she thought there were many others who wanted to drink tea with him. The young lady doesn't understand why he keeps talking to her. The guy comes up to her and tells her not to worry about other people. Deborah asks if she is the type to worry about others. He smiles and says he is sorry, and explains that he wanted to talk to her about the social club. The girl says that she needs to go to class and suggests that they talk later. The gentleman agrees with her and says that they will discuss it later. And when Deborah came to the educational center of magic, the guys who were sitting near her quickly ran away, and she thought that she was already starting to get used to this, and thought that it seemed like she was doing well in the role of a villain, because the more she ignored everyone, the more they were afraid of her. When the lady saw the guy, she thought that she had a feeling that this magician was actually a student of the engineering faculty. However, he understands that wizards spend a lot of time on research, and this is very similar to their engineering students. After all, they have a good salary, a lot of work, but no personal life. The main character does not understand what to do with people like her, who do not know how to use magic. Magic formulas. Professor Kyle says that this is the material they should be working on this semester. He says that those who have no desire to learn, or who do not have good knowledge, will have a hard time in his subject. The professor says that today he will give them an easy test, and when they finish writing it, they can leave. Deborah thought that she was finished because she didn't understand why they were writing this test, and she thought that she would only waste her time because she wouldn't decide anything anyway and would stay there for a while and then go. The lady doesn't understand what's the point of deciding something if she doesn't even know how to use magic, and she thought that she would like to change the subject, but her father won't stand aside if he finds out that she changed her specialty. The girl does not understand what to do and what to come up with. The professor says that now they can begin. Deborah looked at the task that the teacher gave and then was surprised because it was very easy. After some time, the professor, when he winnowed the work of his students, was surprised because he saw a perfectly correct form. The assistant reports that this form belongs to Miss Deborah. The professor asks if she made someone solve the problems for her, and he thinks that he needs to call her and scold her. However, he understands that he cannot touch the daughter who is treasured by the head of the magic tower. The assistant reports that Deborah wrote the test first and left because she completed the test much faster than the others. The professor says that it looks like she's just lucky, and then throws her work on the floor and says that she's already lucky and that she was born into the Seymour family. The gentleman claims that all she needs is to calm her temper and get married successfully, and he does not understand why she came here if she does not even know how to use magic. And he thinks that it seems that the lady decided to memorize all sorts of formulas in order to get into the magic laboratory. At this time, the main character thought that this house had a huge library, and at their university, they had even smaller ones. The butler asks the lady what books she is looking for. She explains that she would like to look around first. The man reports that this library contains mostly books about magic, but the most popular romance novels among women are not there. The librarian advises the lady to go to the nearest bookstore and find what she needs. Hearing this, the girl is surprised because he talks to her like that. Deborah says that she is very sorry that librarians in their time are so slow-witted, and then says that maybe her father was too hasty in giving such a job to such a person. Hearing this, the man screams and asks what she is allowing herself to do. The lady asks if he decided to brag about not having books of different genres. The librarian angrily states that there are so many masterpieces of books, and he is not going to waste his time and energy on any third-rate books. The lady asks if he has read them, and the man replies that it is better not to even read these. The girl says that he hasn't even read the book, but allows himself to judge and insult her, and then claims that this is simply unacceptable, and that she doubts that he is competent in his profession. The librarian asks what book she is looking for, and screams telling her to tell him, because he will bring it to her right away. Deborah tells him to bring a book on various types of third-class magic formulas, and says that she thinks he will find it quickly. At this time, the main character thought that, of course, he would not be able to find her because this library does not have a book search function, and she thinks that it seems he has heard a lot of rumors about her. The lady does not understand how there can be such a person among the servants because he has no manners. The librarian apologizes to Miss, and then claims that in the future he will be more careful with his words, and she thought that it was good that at least he apologized later. The main character thinks that suddenly she seemed too soft to him, and thought that she would not become a wimp, and thinks that he himself did not think that about her. When the girl saw the book, she was surprised because it was very thick, and thought that she did not want to read because she did not understand why she even had to study in this world. When the lady read one page, she thought that there was too much of everything, and she became interested in who Danai was. Deborah reads that long before the founding of the Astraea Empire, during the ancient empire of Tegea, in order for an archmage who had reached the highest level to be able to fully use his magic, he had to study specific formulas. The main character saw the way to use these forms, and understands that high magic is a geometric progression, and she saw the summary of the book in order to find out what it is. The formula used to expand the range of vast magic is a geometric progression. To make magic into a sphere, you will need to find the circumference using the formula. The lady understands that, in other words, magic is very closely connected with mathematics, and since she studied engineering, mathematics is easy for her, and she understood why the test was easy for her. Deborah realizes that this is strange because there are no specific formulas in this book, but suddenly she heard a strange sound and thought that someone had come. The main character decided to see who it was and saw the younger brother of Enrique. Since the young gentleman had not yet grown up, he could not reach the book that was on the top shelf. Then the girl came up and got him the book he was looking for. The boy got scared when he saw his sister, and at that moment, she thought that it was worth expecting. And at that moment, she realized that she just had to leave him alone. Enrique asks if she was following him, and at that moment, she thought that she just couldn't help such a cutie. And she agrees with him and explains that he is very cute, like a rabbit. Hearing this, the boy screams and tells her not to make fun of him, and then claims that he will become as tall as his older brothers. Deborah looked at him and thought that he looked like a kitten, and said that of course he would grow up, but not soon, and then stroked his head. Enrique screams and says that this is too much and then runs away. She thought that her brother is so fast because he ran away like a squirrel. The girl thought that she wanted to make a compliment, and he thought that she was laughing at him, and she wondered if everyone really hated her so much. At this time, Enrique thought that he should pull himself together because sister laughed at the fact that he was small, and he understands that sister could not iron, and says that he is cute. The boy remembers that after his mother's death, the Duke threw himself into his work, and his sister said that his father hated him because he took her mother's life. The next day, the woman greets the lady and says that they have received a message that she will come for the cake, and says that it is ahead. Seeing this, the main character realizes that this is spatial magic that has always been there, and she asks how much this teleport can carry. The woman reports that it can carry 5 people at a time, but she is unsure of the maximum weight, and then reports that they are already on their way. Within a minute, the lady says that they have already arrived, and then informs the master that Miss Deborah has arrived. Suddenly, the cat jumped on the girl, and she stroked it. The gentleman tells the doll to come to him, and he asks what is wrong with her. At this time, the lady realizes that the cats can't get rid of this cat drug because she took the bag with her again. The master offers the girl to sit down, and the cat just spins around the lady. Deborah says she heard the gentleman finished with a sack. He says it looks like the lady decided to get straight to the point. Deborah claims that he knows that she is not one of those people, and as far as she knows, they do not have the kind of relationship to talk about various topics. The man says that he would like their relationship to develop a little, and then he throws her a bag and says that she can just put her items in the bag, and if she wants to get these things, she just has to stick her hand in it. The master explains that she will not be able to see what is inside the bag, and therefore believes that it is better to put only coins in there. Hearing this, the main character thought with delight that this was simply incredible, and that the bag was very cool. The master offers the girl to give him his hand. She asks what kind of rudeness this is, because she understands that she is not some kind of puppy. The gentleman explains that in order to summon the bag when it is lost, he needs to cast magic on her hand, and then asks if she thinks that he treats her like a puppy. The master looked at the lady's hand and said that it belongs to the cat family. Deborah thought that his hand was very big, and knew that a man with long fingers who played the piano well was her ideal type of man. The master explains that if she wants to summon the bag, she should just say this spell, and then asks if she has decided not to wear the pink diamond. The gentleman says that she made the right decision, and it seems to him that the nobles have now begun to learn more about the diamond after they found out that she was hiding it. He also wonders if she was trying to achieve this. However, the lady has not responded, and he wonders if they will proceed to her next request. Deborah asks why he is sure that she has another request. The master says that if she had not had a request, she would have turned home immediately after receiving the bag. At this time, the main character does not understand why she has the feeling that he was offended, but she thinks that it seems like it just seemed that way. The young lady explains that she needs to know about a man named Isidor Visconti, and asks him to find out about him. The master asks why she wants to know about him. Hearing this, the girl does not understand why the atmosphere has become strange, and thinks that it is not easy to find out about this person, since he is the heir of a noble family, and she understands that it seems that this will be difficult for the master. Deborah says that he is somehow suspicious. Hearing this, the gentleman was surprised, and the girl asks if he can tell about him. The master replies that he can tell about his weight and height, and can even tell about his shoe size. And then he says that he is a little vulnerable, but quite self-confident. The main character screams and asks who he thinks she is, and then says that she needs all sorts of gossip about him, and this is what she needs. The girl looked at the surprised face of the gentleman, and does not understand why he is so surprised, because she thinks that she should be surprised. The man asks if she needs rumors. She tells him to find out everything thoroughly because she thinks he is a dubious person, and there is clearly something to dig up on him. At this time, the young lady thought that she needed to know about this because there was no information in the book. The master explains that he realized that he needed to know about Isidor Visconti because he is suspicious. The girl thought that he was in a bad mood. The man asks Miss if there will be any more assignments. The lady replies that she won't have any more, and then explains that she liked the smell of the tea, so she would like to drink it all. The master says that the price of tea is 1 gold coin. Hearing this, the girl was surprised, and then screaming, she claims that there is not even dessert, and it is very expensive. Deborah gives him a precious stone, and the man says that he does not need it because this stone is more expensive than tea. At this time, she does not understand why the master has a changeable mood, and she wonders what happened to him. The girl asks if this tea is sold in Maison. He replies that he is on break now and therefore will not answer work questions. The lady says it's a pity he's on break because she wanted to make a good suggestion. The gentleman suggests telling how she tamed the cookie. The main character explains that she can't say that because she thinks it will hurt her business. He says that the miss is very stubborn. She asks if he only realized it now. At this time, the young lady thought that she was comfortable being such a person because she did not need to worry that someone would say something because everyone was used to such behavior and read that it was very convenient. Deborah draws a picture and offers the master to look at it and then asks how he likes it. He wonders if it is a woman. The main character explains that this is an unusual drawing and very unique, and says that this is a version of Starduck, and this is the logo of her coffee shop. The teacher asks if she drew it herself. The lady explains that she did it during the lesson, and says that she is thinking of opening a dessert shop with this logo. The gentleman says that a logo for a store is something grand. Deborah says that she thinks it is necessary because she plans to open more than 100 such stores throughout the empire and even on the island. The girl says that when people look at the color purple, you want them to reflexively remember this logo. The man says that it takes a lot of people and money and thinks that even the emperor can't do it. However, the lady says that she doesn't need a lot of people for this. After all, she can let others take the name of her store. Hearing this, the gentleman was surprised, and the girl explains that the main thing is to make the first store popular, and then the work will go easier. Deborah says that he can also open his own coffee shop. After all, she believes that for those who are afraid to take risks, it is easier to open a store with a menu and interior that has already become popular, since she understands that in return, she will be able to get good interest. The master says that the more places open, the more profit she will make. The lady claims that the more branches, the greater the demand for wholesale flower and tea leaves. And then she says that she will also be able to directly manage the products and supply them to the other branches. The girl continues to say that if the business expands greatly, but the gentleman interrupts her and claims that this could be a problem because it will be difficult to keep track of everything. After all, it will also be difficult to supervise such quality control. Hearing this, the lady did not understand how he immediately thought of this, because she understands that he does not know what a franchise is, and therefore she thinks that he is very smart. The master says it's a good idea, but doesn't understand why she's sharing it with him. The lady says she wants to work with him and wants to invest in the place. The assistant tells the gentleman that he has been given a very difficult task because he understands that this time he must do it personally. The master asks Miguel if this situation amuses him. He assures that it does not, and at that moment, he thinks that if he does not hold back his laughter, the master will kill him, and realizes that he is walking on thin ice. Miguel asks why he didn't ask for more money because he thinks it was such a good opportunity. He replies that he has already received enough because he thinks it is a special payment. The master understands that most aristocrats do not want to take up business, but the lady makes him a partnership offer and wants to receive illegal money. The gentleman realizes that the more he thinks about it, the more unusual it seems to him. And then he says that this is selling the name of the store and not the product itself. Miguel looked at the gentleman and realized that he didn't know what was there, but it was the first time he had seen him like that. The gentleman asks the assistant what style he thinks the miss will like. He explains that the lady always looked at him indifferently, but when he was in a frock coat, she looked at him for a second longer, and he thinks that it seems that she likes masculine men. The master says that he has some clothes that he has never worn before, and therefore he thinks that the time has come for them. The main character realizes that she can't see anything and it's all because of him. Deborah realizes that this time he is wearing glasses and thinks that he seems to dress in different styles of clothes. She remembers that the initiator of the intellectual style was Belek, but now this man in glasses has surpassed him. The lady wondered if there were too many people repeating after him, since every second person had glasses, and she did not understand how one could repeat so openly. The girl understands that it seems that Isidor is also tired of this, and she thinks that most likely because of this, he constantly changes his style because everyone follows him. And thanks to him, stores can earn more. Suddenly, the main character realized that she was lost, and thinks that if she had at least one servant with her, she would never have gotten lost. And she wondered why Deborah didn't have a right hand. The main character remembers that Deborah had servants, but they simply could not stand her character. However, she knows that this year 2 new ones came, Meili Mayans and Aisha Dochi. The girl knows that in the novel during the trial, they complained about Deborah and said that she made them do bad things, and therefore they made Deborah even more evil, and the lady thinks that it is better for her to do without them. Deborah feels that she needs an assistant, and she is wondering where she can find a reliable person. Suddenly, the lady saw that there was someone there and thought that she could ask this person to take her to the carriage. However, this person turned out to be a girl named Mia. Seeing her, the main character thought that she needed to leave there as soon as possible. But suddenly Mia falls and screams in pain. And at that moment, Deborah thought that she didn't want Mia to call her and talk to her. The girl with pink hair asks if she can help her because she can't get up. At this time, the main character thought that Mia had such a strong divine power, but she could not heal herself. But she looked at her leg and realized that she was really hurt, and then decided to help her. Suddenly, Philip screams and turns to Miss Mia and asks if she can get up. Seeing him, the lady does not understand where he came from, and understands that it may look like she pushed her. The prince lifted the girl up and said that Deborah had been quiet all this time, and then asked what she had been planning. At this time, the main character thought that she knew it would be like this. Philip asks if she knows what to say, and says that it doesn't matter how obsessed she is with him, and then asks how she could even think of pushing Mia in front of his eyes. Deborah explains that Mia tripped near a tree and fell, and she tried to help her, and then tells the girl to say that it is true. Mia says that it is so, but Philip claims that she made her say so. At this time, the lady thought that she was going crazy. The prince turns to Mia and says that she does not need to protect Deborah because she is afraid of her. Hearing this, the main character screams and claims that it is true, and then says that she has already said it twice. Philip asks Deborah if she thinks that Montez's heir chosen by the spirits of water and fire is so stupid as to believe such nonsense. Then he tells her to apologize to Miss Mia. The girl does not understand why she should do this, since she did nothing, and asks why she should apologize. And at this time she understands that this happened because her body reacted. Philip insists that she apologizes right now. The main character realizes that her body does not obey her and she cannot move. Suddenly, Isidor Visconti appears and tells the prince to stop. He says he didn't know Felipe was so reckless, and then asks how he could talk to a lady like that. The prince tells Isidor to move away. Standing behind the guy, the main character sighed with relief because she was released. Isidor claims that he is not going to leave Philip, claims that it is none of his business, and suggests not to interfere. The boy asks how the night could pass by someone threatening the lady. Philip asks how much he saw. He replies that since he boasted about being chosen by both the gods of the spirit of water and fire, Philip says that it's enough to mock and asks if he wants to shame him. Hearing this, the girl thought that Isidor is good at arguing. Suddenly, Deborah felt hot, and Isidor said that it seemed the prince had nothing more to say, and he decided to use force. The main character looked at the guys and realized that they were now competing with each other, and she did not understand how they had gotten to this point. Mia turns to Philip and says that she can't breathe. Hearing this, he asks if she's okay, and then puts out his fire Mia says that she feels better. The prince turns to Isidor and says that he does not understand him because he defends Deborah even though she offends another girl when no one sees, and then turns to the lady and claims that he will definitely make her apologize. Isidor asks why he is silent, and he himself started shouting at the top of his lungs. And then he turns to the pink-haired girl and asks if Miss Deborah did something for which she needs to apologize. Mia answered briefly that no. The young master thought that was great since the problem was solved. Philip angrily asks what he just said. Isidor asks, how can Miss from an unknown family force Miss from the Seymour family to apologize when she did nothing? And he thinks that this is simply unacceptable. At this time, the main character thought that Isidor was well versed in how and what to answer, and therefore believed that she had something to learn. The guy with the blonde hair says that if the gentleman has nothing more to say, then he can go, and asks if he doesn't need to check the condition of the Mrs. knees. The prince tells Isidor that he will regret what he did. Hearing this, the guy says that one would think that they had a normal relationship before, and he wonders what he is even talking about. Isidor turns to the lady and asks if she is okay. The girl nodded her head in agreement, and at this time does not understand why she is so awkward because she has a feeling that she is the culprit of the fight. The guy tells the girl that she has turned pale, and at this time she does not understand why the gentleman is so close to her, and then she explains that she has always had such pale skin. Isidor suggests that they return first and then says that he will take the lady to the carriage. He offers her his hand and tells her not to be stubborn, at least until they reach the carriage. At this time, Deborah thought that when they were standing with Philip, he seemed like a slightly flighty person, but she realized that now he was somehow cold-blooded, and it seemed to her that he was angry with her. The main character asks why he helped her, because she believes that he could not have failed to hear what kind of person she is. The guy explains that he is a knight, and also reminds her that she told him that he is very curious. The assistant asks the owner in surprise where he was. The gentleman says that it is not important and orders him to open the carriage, and then turns to the lady and asks her to forgive him in advance, and takes her in his arms, and then puts her in the carriage and wishes her a good journey. At this time, the girl does not understand what it was, and she wants her heart to stop beating. She tells the guy that she is now in his debt. Isidor tells Miss that at such moments it is enough to simply say, "Thank you." Hearing this, she thanked him. When the young master heard the words of gratitude, he thought that it was too kind for the villainess. The girl understood this from his facial expression, and then says that she herself was surprised that she thanked him, and she claims that she is not one of those who will thank him because she can only say thank you when the crayfish whistles on the mountain, and she is definitely a bad person. Isidor says that it is an honor for him to help her, and then says that she can go and have a good rest. The guy says that it would be good if she set the radar to normal men. Deborah understands that this idiotic Philip is not her type, but she knows that Mrs. Sincere love for Philip has a very long history. In the evening when Ophelia was treating the lady's knee, she said that for bright light around, there needs to be a lot of darkness, and if there is a good character nearby, there must be a villain, and therefore she believes that Mia should shine brighter. The maid says that after some time, the nobles became loud, and everyone was discussing how Deborah had mocked her, and that dear Philip had protected her. Ophelia says that, as expected, everyone was discussing this topic heatedly because Miss Seymour was involved. And for the nobles, such information is much more interesting than the fact that Mia heals people with her powers. The maid suggests that the mistress remember that the secular world is very interested in gossip, and therefore she believes that the mistress should prepare herself because Miss Deborah will now mock her more. Mia says she doesn't even know because Deborah Seymour is so quiet, and she thought she even had to put on this whole show to get her attention. The lady asks, what if she does not attack her, and then says that Deborah behaves calmly with her. Hearing this, the maid smiled and claims that this cannot be. Ophelia says that she has been obsessed with Philippa for 6 years, and she is definitely very upset with her, and therefore thinks that she must be behaving this way because she has some kind of plan. Mia agrees with her because she believes that Ophelia is always right. The maid says that soon there will be a good opportunity because Philip is very worried about the fact that he was unable to get the pink diamond, and therefore he will actively want to somehow compensate her for this, and will send her to Arachron. Ophelia claims that Miss Deborah, who has no abilities or reputation, will also choose the Arachron Club. Because of this, the ladies will constantly cross paths, so there will inevitably be unpleasant situations. Mia reports that she understood what the mistress meant. The maid says that she will also have the upcoming spring festival, and therefore believes that she should attract a lot of attention and receive the status of the flower of the year. Ophelia states that this is why the young lady needs to focus on raising her divine power frequency now. The main character walking around the yard thought that she had been thinking about this for several days, but she found it very strange that Mia Binoche pretended not to know her. Deborah remembers that they definitely met for the first time at the academy, but she couldn't help but know about her because everyone talks about Deborah's character, and she knows that the fool Philip couldn't help but tell about her nasty and dangerous character. The young lady doesn't understand why Mia is trying to run into some villain, and she feels very strange because she has a feeling that she is provoking her. The girl thought that Mia just needed a villain to show how good she was. When Deborah went out onto the balcony, she was surprised to think that they had tried hard to create such beauty. The father asks his daughter how she likes it, and then he says that it is much more beautiful than any diamonds, and asks if it is so. The Duke explains that he hired several people, and they brought valuable plants and seeds from different countries, and now it is so bright there, and he has a feeling as if a rainbow will appear now. The girl thought that it seemed like he also liked the garden, and thought that it was truly an amazing sight. She said that this garden would definitely be more beautiful and luxurious than the emperor's. The father says that it is better not to say such phrases in front of others, because she might be misunderstood, and then he claims that she can say such things in front of him. The girl thought that it seemed to her that her father was in a good mood, and that he seemed to be a very kind person. The daughter asks if they can take a closer look. He suggests they take a walk. Walking in the garden, the main character thought that it seemed to her that he wanted to hear more praise, and she thinks that her father is not a dog, but she does not understand why he follows her. The lady says with delight that it is fantastic and a very beautiful garden. The father asks his daughter why her face is blank. Hearing this, she thinks that her father is hearing her thoughts again because she is dating because of that idiot Philip, and thinks that her face is already screaming about stress. Dad says that if she is like this because of Montes, he tells her not to worry, and then says that he is shocked by the rumors he heard about her, and asks why people gossip about her. The Duke tells his daughter not to do anything stupid because she is the only Miss Seymour of the family. Deborah replies that she is not like this because of Montes, but she understands that it is all because of that idiotic Philip. The girl says that it must be hard for him to believe this, but she is absolutely innocent in this situation. The daughter explains that there are a lot of rumors going around right now because Philip carried Miss in his arms around the academy grounds and then claims that there are no witnesses to her hurting this Miss because she did not do it. The Duke asks why she gets into such situations when Montes is with another woman, and suggests that she control her temper. The main character realizes that this is a bit strange and thinks that they need to change the subject. And then she says that in fact she is like this because she is worried about these flowers. The father asks in surprise what she is talking about. The lady explains that as he sees this, Daisy is already beginning to fade, and she claims that it is not his fault. It is just that daisies do not grow well in such soil. The gentleman asks in surprise how she knows about this. She explains that the hydrangea is not red, but blue, which means that the soil in this place is acidic, and the daisy cannot grow in such soil. The Duke wonders what to do then, and asks if these flowers need to be moved to better soil for them. The daughter replies that she does not think this needs to be done. Father says that he doesn't know how to change the soil with magic. Hearing this, the main character thought that in this world, everyone tends to rely on magic and wizards. And then she says that they don't need magic because she believes that if you turn on your brain a little, the problem can be easily solved. Deborah says that with the help of charcoal, they can easily solve this problem because you just need to sprinkle the ground with charcoal and the flowers will be able to bloom normally. The father says that if such a thing were possible, it would certainly be a much more worthwhile method than resorting to magic, and then asks how she knew about the coal. After all, he is hearing about it for the first time, and also thinks that the gardener does not know either. The girl explains that she remembered this from reading a book, and at that moment, she thought that she actually learned about it in a humanities class. Charcoal has an alkaline component, which is the opposite of acid, and the professor said that they need to remember this because this question will be in the session. The Duke asks why she went to the library. Deborah replies that she wanted to learn how to care for flowers. He asks if she likes the garden so much. The daughter says that she really likes the garden because her father worked so hard for it. The gentleman says that it would be better if she thought more about grades, but they think that the main character explains that she also read books about magic formulas. Hearing this, the father is surprised and asks if she studied about magic formulas, and then says that efforts are very good. The lady realized that he did not believe her, and she remembers that Deborah hated even the basics of arithmetic because she had no magical intellect at all. The Duke claims that it doesn't matter even if everything doesn't work out because he believes that the process of trying will definitely pay off later. Hearing this, the girl thinks that it seems like he feels sorry for his daughter. Deborah says that she wanted to ask why they solved the formulas so slowly, and then claims that these people remind her more of snails. The father asks what she is talking about. The daughter explains that at the academy, she thought she would die of boredom because the students did the assignment in at least 10 minutes when she only needed 1 minute. After hearing this, the father went with the girl to the office and then explained to her on the board how they solved the problem using the formula. The gentleman asks his daughter how she could solve this in a minute and says that he would like to listen to her. The girl thought that this formula was developed by the ancient archmage, Tegea, and this is a very old formula with which the solution will be very long, and she thinks that it seems that no one has improved this formula since then. Deborah asks her father if it is really necessary to solve equations in such a slow and inefficient way. He tells her that the formula was invented by a 9th-grade mage named Simeon, along with a silver dragon, and she is the first to think that the formula is inefficient. The main character realized that they had decided from the very beginning not to touch this formula because the man's authority was so high that no one doubted his knowledge. The girl says that she can solve the following problem in 1 minute. The father suggests that she not joke like that and thinks that it is commendable that she decided to study hard, but he thinks that she will not be able to do it in 1 minute. The daughter says that she solved this problem and then shows the result. George asks in surprise how she did it in 1 minute and then claims that she could have solved it in 30 seconds, but he can't believe it. Deborah realizes that this problem was about Homeric progression, and this is 2nd grade high school math. Father says he doesn't know how she did it, but if she could control magic, she would be an incredible battle mage because she would be able to reduce the speed of her spells. The gentleman says that this is the first time he has seen a person solve a problem so quickly, and at that moment, he thought that the speed of solving a formula is equal to the speed of casting magic. The main character thinks that if she had magical abilities, then she could simply become the head of the family, and she does not understand why Seymour's direct descendant cannot use magic, but she thinks that maybe it's even for the best. The girl understands that Deborah, due to her character, could use her power to finish off anyone she wants, but she still feels very sorry. The father says that it seems that she has found a way to solve such problems as easily as possible, and then claims that her personal method is very effective because she understands that it is impossible to calculate so quickly using Tegea's formula. Deborah says she decides another way. He says he wonders what kind of method it is and then asks if she will tell him. The daughter explained to her father how to solve problems in a different way, and at that time, she thought that she would never have even imagined that she would become a math tutor. After class, Deborah's father invites her to have dinner together today. Seeing this, the girl thought that she had seen a lot in her life, but she had never had such shopping. The father invites the girl to choose any jewelry for herself. The gentleman says that today she proved with her activities that she is a descendant of Seymour, and for this, he wants to give her a gift. The main character saw a very large bracelet with a stone and thought that she wanted it. The seller asks Miss if she would like this jewelry, and then says that she has excellent taste and she can try it on. The Duke turns to the shop assistant and asks how he dares to disrespect Seymour. He says that as far as he knows, even the imperial family bought jewelry from them, and then claims that they were very disappointing to him. Hearing this, the boutique owner screams and asks for forgiveness, and then offers to tell him what he needs to do to fix the situation. At this time, the girl does not understand what is wrong with this seller because she thinks that the service was not bad. The Duke asks if he can't figure it out himself, and then screaming says that his daughter wanted to buy up this entire part of the display case. His Majesty asks where it is seen that his daughter would buy only one bracelet, and asks his daughter if he is telling the truth. She asks him in response why she should name such obvious things, and then says to give her everything except one. At this time, Deborah thought that this was simply unbelievable, and Seymour was simply incredibly rich. When the father left, the girl wished him a good rest, and at that time she thought that he even offered her his hand. Suddenly, Belek turns to Deborah and says that she must be the only one in the empire who looks at her brother so fiercely. Hearing this, the lady does not understand how he ended up near her and has already become boring to her. The brother asks the girl what she did wrong, and then asks why. Because of her bad behavior, he has to listen to others about her antics. At this time, the main character thought that he came to read morals again, and then she suggests that he not worry about it and asks if he has time to talk to her, since she understands that he needs to study artifacts. Belek says that his research does not concern her in any way. The girl asks if he doesn't like it when she worries about him, and then suggests that he say what he wanted faster or let her go. The brother says that it seemed to him that she began to spend too much time with her father. She replies that her father often comes to her himself. The gentleman asks what the reason is for this. Deborah asks in surprise if there must be a reason for this, and then claims that her father simply enjoys spending time with her. She says that they are brothers who only think about their own problems and do not notice their father at all. The eldest son, Rosard, went to conquer new lands beyond the eastern borders, so after the girl moved into this body, they never sat down to eat together. Belek says that as she said, her father must have become very bored, and therefore decided to spend more time with her, and then he says that she did not think of doing anything stupid. The main character says that she does not understand what he is talking about because she thinks that she has never behaved as quietly as she does now and has not even done anything with his beloved Patrick. Hearing this, the guy screams and says that he heard that the sister fired the heir to the Stefan family. She does not understand whether he is talking about that librarian, Jaime Stefan, and she thinks that he is a rude and narrow-minded person. The girl remembers that she told her father that she wanted Jamie Stefan to be punished for speaking very rudely to her, and her father asks what he did. The lady explains that when she came to the library, he told her to leave because he doesn't have romance novels, and she thinks the librarian is driven by all sorts of narrow-minded prejudices. The father asks what kind of nonsense he was talking, and also wonders how he dared. Deborah thought that she had simply asked for punishment, but he was immediately fired from his job. Belek states that Stefan's family has been Seymour's vassals for over 3 generations, and then asks if she understands what she has done. He asks her to get into her empty head that her impulsive actions are hurting their family. The main character realized that he was very angry because Stefan was his personal vassal, and she believes that he was afraid to approach his father with this issue because he was afraid of quarreling with him, and therefore decided to terrorize her. Deborah replies that he was incompetent in his job anyway, and he couldn't even answer her simple question. Then she asks her brother where the book Imperial Politics and Economics is in the political or economic section. However, the brother could not answer this question, and the girl says that she does not often go to the library, but immediately realized that he does not have a system for classifying books. The main character claims that, on the other hand, he went to this job every day and did nothing about the obvious problems, and believes that this shows that he is not very good at his job. Belek objects and says that in their library all the books are distributed in the most efficient way. The girl asks how she can find a book if she knows the author but not the title. The young lady thinks that the task of the library is to find a book as quickly as possible, and Jamie was unable to cope with this task, and therefore she can say that he used an ineffective method. However, Belek claims that this is not the case, and says that she fired him to spite him because she believes that there are no other options. Deborah suggests that he not worry because she will soon find him a good replacement. Hearing this, the guy says that it turns out that she can bluff, and then suggests that she just watch her behavior and finally give up Montez. Hearing this, the girl does not understand why he remembered Philip, and she says that Philip is not her type, and she does not want to have a relationship with someone like him. However, the guy smiled and suggests that she rest and calls her a braggart. The main character asks what if she proves that he is not bluffing. The brother screams and says that then he will call her sister. At this time, the girl turned on a magic stone with a recording function, a device that can record a conversation for up to 10 minutes. The girl remembers that she bought it in case something bad happened to Philip again, but this device came in handy with her brother. Deborah thought about how she couldn't yawn peacefully because of her bad girl image, since she hadn't gotten enough sleep because she was recalculating her budget. Suddenly, the girl heard a conversation where someone was addressing Erin and saying that her house was destroyed, and also asking what she was doing at the academy and whether she was ashamed. The main character saw a guy who was kicking a girl with a book and asking if she thought she could exist thanks to the program for gifted people. The girl asks him to give her her things, and he asks what kind of woman is interested in the basic formulas of magic, and then asks if she doesn't understand that women can't do this and only men can do it. Suddenly, the guy rips the book apart and says that it's pointless, and asks if it is, and then suggests not to do such nonsense because she needs to get married on time. The young gentleman says that now Aaron is all so sweet, but suddenly he felt pain and screamed, and then asks what is going on there. Deborah tells him to shut up, and then says that he's making her ears curl up. She asks why he's staring like that, and then says that since he's figured it out, he should get out of here. The guy turns to the miss and says that she was just going about her business, and then asks why she approached him so abruptly. The lady explains that she couldn't pass by his ugliness. Hearing this, the guy screams and asks what she said, and then says that even though she is the daughter of the Duke of Seymour, this doesn't mean that she has the right to say such things. Deborah says that there is no other way with him because he said that women are weak, and then asks who according to his logic is a man. The young master explains that he was not talking about her specifically. Then he says that statistically, women are weaker than men, and there are far fewer female combat mages than men. A girl hits a guy, he screams, and asks what she's doing and why she's hitting him so hard. She suggests testing his stupidest, most absurd hypothesis and seeing who's better at arithmetic. Then she asks the guy if he's scared. The young gentleman replies that he is not afraid, and suggests trying anyway. Deborah asks questions, and for every wrong answer she hits him on the head. And when his whole head was in ghouls, he asks for forgiveness for what he said earlier. The lady says that her eyes are tired of looking at his ugliness, and then tells him to get lost. She understands that the guy doesn't even know the basic multiplication table. The main character looked at the girl and saw that she was very afraid. Deborah thought that this lady thought that she would also mock her, but she thought that in any case, today she once again showed everyone how evil she was. Sitting in class, a young lady thought that the weather was very nice today, and the professor asked if everyone understood that the test had to be taken honestly. And then he said that if anyone begged them for answers, they should definitely tell him about it. At this time, the girl realized that he had just looked at her and thought that he meant her. The professor comes up to Deborah and tells her not to do that again. He explains that he is talking about how easily she passed the test and asks her not to do that again because it is hurting the whole class. The young lady asks in surprise what she did. He replies that she copied the students' answers by deception and thinks that it seems she decided to cheat in this way because the students did not want to help her. The professor claims that she should not behave like that in the future. The main character asks how he can claim such a thing when he has no evidence. The gentleman asks in surprise if she is asking for evidence, and then he says that everyone already knows that she is quite incompetent and is only holding on there thanks to her father. And he asks who will believe that she suddenly started studying well, because he thinks that it is even funny to discuss anything about evidence and proof. The professor says that it is unpleasant to see misses like her who only think about appearance and how to cheat on time. Deborah says that it seems he has said too much to her. He asks what he said wrong and then says that in general, she can behave according to her character and can immediately hit him. At this time, the main character realized that he wanted to deliberately provoke her so that she would slap him, and rumors would immediately start spreading about her. Deborah's reputation is at rock bottom, and so he wants to piss her off because he knows the public will side with him. The gentleman asks the lady if she thinks the Duke will protect her. He also asks if she knows that the wizard's tower has no effect on them. Then he says that if she continues to behave like this, he will tell the dean about everything. The main character understands that he is talking about her uncle Marquis Bear, who works as a dean, and believes that this makes the situation easier. The girl asks if he insists that she cheated, even though she understands that there is no clear evidence of this. And then she says that they have nothing more to talk about, because first, he needs to prove her guilt. The professor screams and asks how she can be so rude to her elders, and then says he will find evidence. The lady asks how he will do that. The professor gathered the teachers and screamed that there was corruption involved. He asked how she could solve all the problems in 30 minutes and claimed that Miss could not solve the task herself. The man says that last week Deborah passed the test first, but before that, she had not shown such success. He thinks that it must have been Professor Kyle who gave the answers in advance, and he pretended that he did not like it all, while secretly helping Deborah. And the gentleman claims that this is the only real version of what happened, because he believes that the main problem is the Seymour family, and asks if it is not the Duke who helps his daughter in everything. The man claims that as a wizard he is intelligent and cool-headed, but due to the influence of personal relationships, he begins to doubt his qualifications. The gentleman asks William if his words are too bold, because he believes that Duke Seymour is a 7th-level wizard, and it is impossible to even fight with such a person. The young gentleman wonders if they should now turn a blind eye to injustice, because he believes that even Seymour should be held accountable for his actions. William thinks that a letter should be written, asking for Miss Deborah to be expelled from the Faculty of Magic, because he thinks that it is enough to see how she is given preferential treatment because of her origin. The professor wonders how long one can look at a person who can't even use magic, but is there only because of his father's power, and then he says that he supports William, The gentleman says that he no longer wants to look at this ruthless and rude woman in their faculty. After some time, the butler told her master about the rumors. Hearing this, he does not understand where this rumor came from. The professor asks the assistant if there is any evidence that Deborah threatened the students, but suddenly he sees the Duke come to him without knocking. The gentleman turns to the dean and says that there has been a lot of noise here lately, and then asks if he can do his job. The Duke showed him a petition that stated that Professor Kyle had brazenly leaked all of Miss Deborah's answers to the test, and they suspected that the Seymour family was involved. George offers to explain to him what kind of petition this is. The dean apologizes, and the gentleman asks where Deborah's work is. The gentleman looked at his daughter's work and thought that there were many complex formulas for finding the total amount of mana, and said that even a genius would not be able to solve it all in such a short time. Professor Kyle claims he did not leak the answers. The dean says that this is his assumption, and he thinks that perhaps she hired 3 people who were solving different problems at the same time. The Duke says that he thinks that such a deception would be easy for them to detect. The professor asks if Seymour might have some artifact that would allow her to deceive them. Since he knows that Bellick is a master at creating new artifacts, the gentleman claims that in any case they have no evidence, because he believes that if Bellick had something like that, he would have long ago become the head of the Seymour family. The dean says he doesn't know if Seymour is involved, but he can't let it affect the Academy's reputation. However, he knows he needs to meet his niece anyway. When Deborah came to the dean's office, she thought that she had not even imagined that he would act so quickly, but she believed that this would only benefit her. Marquis Bear tells the girl that she is becoming more and more like Marianne. The main character remembers that when she was little, her uncle gave her a ring with a stone that was one of a kind for her birthday. The girl thought that maybe this man also loved her mother, and she does not understand why she has these memories. However, she thinks that it looks like a love triangle, like Rosart and Bellick. Deborah realized that he left the mansion so that his beloved woman would be happy, and this is the heartbreaking love story of her uncle. The main character understands that while his twin brother is the main one in the Wizard's Tower and also the head of the Seymour family, he went to the academy to deal with all sorts of good-for-nothings like her, and they even stole the woman he loved from him. The dean shows the girl a petition that is related to her. He tells her to tell everything, as it is without any lies, if she wants to continue studying at the academy. At this time, the young lady thought that he had the genes of the Seymour family, and he was also so cold-blooded. Marquis Bates says that he accepted her from the beginning, because everyone in his family is strong in magic, and so because of the bloodline, he believed that one day she would become a sorceress, and he hopes that he will hear an answer that will not disappoint him. Deborah says that she doesn't know what answer he expects from her, but she is outraged by this whole situation. And then she claims that she solved these problems herself, and she is accused of bribing the professor, and she is almost called a sinner. The girl asks how it is possible to humiliate a person without any evidence, and then says that she will not accept it. The dean asks if she wants to say that she is not guilty, and this situation is unfair. She answers that she wants to reveal the truth, and offers to prepare any tasks for her, because she will prove to everyone that she did not cheat. The main character claims that this is the only way to restore her honor and reputation, and at that time, she thought that her reputation has nothing to lose. The dean says he hopes she can prove her innocence to everyone. At this time, men have gathered at the Absalon social club. A young gentleman turns to Isidor and says that he feels like he is unlucky today because he thinks he is not focused, and then asks what is the matter. Hearing this, Isidor thought that he was simply not interested in this, because he knew that tomorrow, Deborah would prove her innocence. The guy asks if he heard what everyone is talking about. Now Isidor asks what. He answers that Philippa was walking around the campus, holding Mia Binoche in his arms like a princess. The young gentleman says that this is a very unpleasant sight, and asks if he knows what happened next. He says that the most interesting thing is that after this, Mia decided to join Arachron. The gentleman asks if she is not from an ordinary family, because he thinks that in this club, noble pedigree is not the most important thing. Derek says that he heard that Mia Binoche demonstrates her healing abilities everywhere, and it seems to him that people even call her a saint. Hearing this, Isidor thought that Philip's behavior was completely atypical. The guy says that it is true that she is so strong, and he heard that she constantly helps others, but they will soon check it, because before the Spring Flower Festival, high-ranking priests measure the divine power of their students. Isidor asks if everyone remembers why they gathered today. Derek says that he completely forgot because of the cards, and asks if he wanted to tell him about the new member of their club. The guy with cinnamon hair says that he heard rumors from Miss Cyril that Isidor was not going to accept anyone into their club. Hearing this, the young gentleman smiled, and then asked if they believed it. The guy with dark hair said that of course it was not true, because he said so, because he did not want to accept Miss Cyril into the club. Terry Orgo is the second son of Duke Orgo, a famous swordsman and one of the founders of the country. Unlike his older brother, Dear Orgo, he has an extremely frivolous nature. Isidor says that their situation simply changed, and they had to start recruiting because a member suddenly left them. However, the guy understands that this is a real lie, because in fact, he threatened and kicked the man out of the club under the pretext of copying his academic work. However, he understands that the owner has not been doing anything lately, except for Miss Deborah's affairs. Isidor says that firstly he would like to talk about the beautiful, and he would like to emphasize that the new participant should be as beautiful as he is. The guy thought that if he himself does not praise you, then no one will do it. It became strange to him how he can talk about himself, because he understands that just a little more, and he will not be able to hold back his laughter. The gentleman suggests talking about the new member and asks what talents he should have. Thierry asks why the winner doesn't choose a candidate, and then says that some of the club's leaders, including him, have gathered there, and therefore they can make a decision on enrollment. William asks who they will start with. Then he says that his candidacy is joining as a new member of Absalon, and explains that he does not see the cards of the other members. The guy claims that he is nominating her for Syrian Balak because he thinks that she is good at magic, and therefore she will fit in well with their club, and then asks if that is true. He says that even the fifth princess liked her. Fifth, Princess Vivian Heister, the only younger sister of the crown prince, and the head of the women in the club, and Absalon. William says it's not a bad option. Isidor says that not everyone has shown their cards yet. Then he shows his, and screams that he has a royal flush, and that it is the rarest and strongest combination in poker. Thierry says in surprise that this is the first time in his life that he sees this combination, because it is the rarest combination that occurs with a probability of 1 in a million. And he says that he does not believe his eyes. Isidor says that he can have everything. And at that time, he thought that of course he got this combination with the help of magic. However, he knows that the members of Absalon agreed not to use magic in gambling. After all, he had not used magic before, either, so everyone believed him. William asks who his candidacy is. He replies that unfortunately, he has no options, because he has a person in mind, but has not yet discussed this topic with him. Thierry asks who in this world could refuse him. He asks why such curiosity, and then says that in exchange for his victory, they must visit this place. The guy asks in surprise what it is, and also wonders if it is a truth commission. He says that he knows it is because of the recent incident with William Raymond, and asks if Miss Deborah is in trouble again. William asks if he thinks Seymour is in trouble this time, and says that it's just that some of the students are studying and some are just lazing around. And these two different people like Philip, the gentleman says that he shouldn't be so sure, because no one knows what combination of cards he has until he shows the cards himself. The next day, a commission to establish the truth met. The main character thought that William Demont and all these people want to disgrace her since they chose such a huge room, and thinks that they prepared well. Deborah doesn't understand why they called such important people, because there was a dean, a vice dean, and 4 other professors there, and she understands that all the high-ranking people are there. When the girl saw Isidor Visconti, Thierry Orgo, and the 5th daughter of the Emperor Vivian Histek princess, she was surprised because she thought that this was the imperial family. She wondered why all these busy people came to this place. The main character does not understand why so many people came and why it attracted their attention, and she thinks that everyone is looking at her. Thierry thinks that this is great, because if the leadership of Ipsione says anything about this commission, it will greatly affect the social society, and he will definitely reveal the truth about the corruption of the Simir family. The professor suggests starting and says that while he writes down the solutions, Miss Deborah will be writing the answer in parallel, and he claims that then no one will be able to cheat. And the girl quickly began to write answers, and then turns to the professor and asks if he is too slow. And at that moment, she thought that high school problems can be solved with your eyes closed. Deborah says that she decides this even faster. Her hands just don't have time to write it down. The professor asks the vice dean if Miss Deborah has solved the problem correctly. He replies that everything is correct. Hearing this, the professor was surprised and screaming asked how this was possible, and then asked if it was possible that she had decided everything in advance. After all, he didn't understand how she was able to answer 5 tasks so quickly when a long solution was required. Deborah claims that she answered everything correctly. The professor is surprised and says that he cannot believe it. The girl says that now that she has proven everything, it is time to hold him accountable for what he did to her honor. However, the man screams and says that it was impossible to solve everything so quickly, and since he thinks that these are difficult tasks, he then claims that black magic was involved. The gentleman suggests that he watch his language because he would immediately reveal the lie, and asks if he wants to say that he and all the assembled professors are blind. And the man turns to William and says that he made them believe the miss without any evidence, and says that he will forbid him to attend his lectures. The dean says that William will be severely punished for slander, and then turns to Miss Deborah and asks if she can explain to them how she decided it. He says that people will be very interested to hear because she solved the problems very quickly and accurately. The main character asks why she should tell, and then explains that William wrote the petition without any evidence, simply because she quickly solved the equation. But no one accused him of having no evidence. The girl says that on the contrary, it seems like everyone was only willing to support him in this. And then she asks if they want to hear what Professor Kyle told her. Deborah turns on her microphone, in which she can hear the professor's voice, and what he says is that he doesn't like to see people like her who only think about appearance, and then suggests that she not stick to the magic faculty like some kind of leech. The lady explains that Belek once gave her an artifact with a sound recording function, and she didn't think that she would have to use it. The girl screams and asks if it is possible to say such things to the students, and then says that she is disappointed because she respected the professor all this time. But after what she heard, there is no need to respect him anymore. Deborah says that as they see, she was attacked by both professors and students, and she is the only one there seeking the real truth. The lady says that it is true that she has been studying the new formula diligently, and asks why she should reveal the new improved formula that she has worked so hard on. Hearing this, the lords cannot believe how she could improve the formula invented by the Archmage with the dragon. The dean asks the girl if she has improved the formula. Milady replies that she has found a way to quickly solve problems, and then claims that they are all too fixated on the foundations. Deborah explains that there is a way to find the answer faster. However, she does not understand why everyone is focused on the fact that some grandfather who was an archmage came up with this formula. One man says this formula is perfect and claims the improved version is nonsense. The gentleman says that Miss managed to solve these tasks faster than anyone else. And if this is true, then this is a huge event, thanks to which they will be able to increase the speed of casting spells. He says that this is nonsense and cannot believe it. The dean's assistant says that Miss is simply deceiving them all, and he is of the same opinion. Deborah asks if there are still those who doubt her, and then she says that then she will prove her innocence as they wanted, and she gives her word as a direct descendant of the Seymour family. The main character announces that she is ready to reveal the formula that she personally improved. The professor asks Miss Deborah if she is serious. The girl claims that no one in this world knows how to solve equations using X and Y, and so she believes that she can slowly reveal her cards to them. She thought that she should have studied math better at school because it would be very useful to her now. The main character wrote a formula and says that she uses it. The lady says that she can't believe that with such a formula, you can solve the problem faster, and the man who is sitting next to her agrees. The woman says that they just need to put the numbers, and they will immediately get the answer. And if the Archmage saw this formula, he would be shocked. Madam says that the Miss does not possess magic, which proves her even greater genius. The man says that this will be very useful for battle mages, who need to cast a spell as quickly as possible. At this time, the girl thought that this was great because everyone believed it. The main character asks if their doubts have now been dispelled, and then says that there is something that needs to be decided. The professor asks Aaron Oslot why she came. She replies that she has something to say, and then reveals that she accidentally overheard William Raymond and the club members talking, and claims that they specifically wanted to frame Miss Deborah. The girl claims that they believed that Miss would not be able to prove her innocence in any way, and so they decided to write a petition, and they also said that Duke Seymour has no qualifications to be the head of the family and the Wizard's Tower. Hearing this, the main character turns to William and asks how he dared to use her to insult her father. The young lady claims that it was very cruel of them and too stupid. She says that her father is kind and he could forgive it, but she is not like that. The professor asks what she is talking about. The lady explains that it means that William and everyone involved in this situation will be held accountable for everything they did. In the Tower of Magicians, the men do not understand how this could have occurred to her, since they believed that the creation of the great Archmage Semyon was considered flawless. They also wondered who would have thought that his formula could be improved. The magician claims that it really works, and that you can cast spells with this form much faster, and he doesn't understand why the rude Seymour is behind this epical discovery. The young gentleman says that since nature deprived her of magic, she should have shown another talent. Suddenly, the magician screams and tells them not to use her formulas so recklessly, and then reads a document demanding the cessation of use of intellectual property due to copyright infringement. The man reads that they are accused of violating the copyrights of Deborah Seymour and are forced to immediately stop using her intellectual property and to comply with her further demands, a fine of 30 gold coins. The guy says that if he wants to use the improved formula, he must pay Miss Deborah this amount of 7 silver coins every month. The man says she was so angry that she patented her invention, and he claims that if he uses the formula without permission, he will have to pay a fine and get a warning every time. The magician says that at least 7 silvers a month is a manageable sum. After all, many people from Raymond to everyone who insulted Deborah at all are forbidden to use the formula. When the main character calculated her profit, she thought that money was falling from the sky, and she was not sure that she would be able to patent the formula. 3 weeks ago, the master tells the lady that she has started to visit him often. He says that her previous request has not yet been fulfilled and asks if she will give him another week. Deborah looked at him and didn't understand what was wrong with his face, because he looked like he'd been working around the clock all month. The main character explains that she didn't come to rush him, but she has a question. He asks what she wants to know. The lady realizes that he really loves money, and then asks if it is possible to formalize a monopoly on his invention. He asks if she means a patent. The master explains that this is possible if she gets permission from the Ministry of Justice. After all, 300 years ago, a similar case happened in the Visconti family. The man explains that he also sometimes files patents for alchemical developments or new artifacts. Deborah asks how much and shows her a bag of jewels. He replies that he is more interested in what she wants to patent than in the jewels. The master says that if she satisfies his curiosity, he promises to help her do everything in the best possible way as a trusted person. The main character agrees with him and says that they will enter into a non-disclosure agreement about this information. The master says that if everything goes smoothly with the patent, he will also lay claim to 20% of her proceeds from it. The lady asks if he's stunned and then claims that she is, after all, a member of the Seymour family. He then says that he agrees to 10% and she will be able to purchase goods on a blank check with a 30% discount. Hearing this, the main character thought that in the future she would need more sound recording artifacts and therefore considered this a good option. Deborah says she agrees to his terms. He asks what the lady wants to patent. She says nothing special because she has improved Simeon's formula and therefore wants to get a patent for it. The man asks in surprise if she is talking about the formula of the great archmage, Semyon. The master thought that this was nothing special and said that she never ceases to amaze him, and he must admit that she is magnificent. Deborah asks if this is true and then claims that she can't even control mana. The man says that now he understands why she needs a patent, because she values practical benefits more than fame. She wonders if this is possible. The master says that this is the first time that someone has changed the formula. However, he believes that if this is presented as a patent for the transformation of mana, according to the third point of the patent law, everything should work out. The gentleman claims that magicians can endow their mother with various properties, and, for example, Duke Seymour is known for his water or ice magic, and therefore many patent their special styles of mana transformation. The master explains that the law also mentions a patent for the transformation technology, and its formula, which allows for the speeding up of the spell creation, fits these conditions. The gentleman says that the method of obtaining income from a patent remains a problem. After all, special artifacts or magic stones are usually used to protect a patent. Deborah says that if magicians are forced to pay her every time they use the formula, she thinks it will become a problem, because she understands that it will be impossible to accurately track this fact. The lady asks what will happen if they introduce a fixed fee. She explains that for using the formula, the magician will pay her a certain amount every month, and this system can be made automatic. Deborah explains that until a person decides to abandon the formula, the money will continue to flow to her, and a fixed amount will reduce the likelihood of protests. The master asks in surprise how she even thought about it, and then says that she invented a way to make easy money. At this time, the main character thought that she simply had a lot of experience, and she thought that all 4 silver ones would be enough because she understood that this was much lower than the fine. The master says that she said correctly, since legal fines are very high and not less than 30 gold. The gentleman says that he thinks it would be better to raise the price to 7 silver coins because he thinks that magicians are mostly wealthy people. He suggests that she not publish all the formulas at once, but do it gradually. After all, that way, she will be able to gradually increase the price. Deborah understands that thanks to him, everything was resolved quickly, and he really likes to extort money from people. She says that now she has a stable source of income. The main character saw an invitation to a scientific and technical conference of magicians, and thought that she was lucky to be born again with a beautiful face and a strong intellect, but she receives an invitation, not to a party, but to a conference. The young lady understands that now all that remains is to advertise the new formula and attract more people. The butler informs the lady that Mrs. Helen asked to be informed that she has brought a dress for the Spring Flower Festival. The designer explains that for this dress, she used light pink silk, and this design will highlight her shoulders and graceful neck. The lady claims that as a lady, she asked for more pink gemstones. Deborah says that it is, of course, very cute, but she doesn't like it at all, and it's not her style. The lady explains that there are too many frills and asks if she thinks the bow matches her look. Then she says that she feels like she brought someone else's order. Helen apologizes and then explains that she was thinking more about it matching her pink diamond than her personality. At this time, the main character thought that the pink diamond was originally supposed to go to the pure and innocent Mia and not to her. The young lady believes that if the dress was intended as a background for a pink diamond, then no matter what it won't suit her, because besides, she added too many stones. Deborah suggests Helen to forget about the diamond and come up with a design that suits her personally. She says that she likes the open shoulders and therefore suggests to leave this detail and use dark purple as a base color. The designer says she will do it as quickly as possible and apologizes for the wait. The main character thought that she had forgotten the most important thing because she did not understand what the point of a luxurious dress was if she needed a partner at the ball. The girl remembers that Deborah tried to invite Philip, but each time it ended sadly, and she does not understand who to invite this time. The butler tells the lady that she was given a gift, and the girl became interested in who it was from. And when the lady read the letter, she realized that it was from Louis Gazelle. The servant asks the lady what to do with it, since there is a whole pile of silver in this suitcase. Deborah tells him to take it away, and at that moment, she thought that they were clearly surprised, because the previous Deborah was unusually hot-tempered unlike her. The girl does not understand why she should throw it away, since she can exchange it all for money. And in her thoughts, she thanked her brother for the useful acquaintance. The servant informs the master that Deborah did not burn Gazelle's letter, but even accepted his gift. Hearing this, Belek was surprised because he thought that she would simply throw away the chest because it was not from Philip, and he did not understand why she was so unpredictable. The butler asks the gentleman if he is okay, as he has looked tired lately. Belek asks what he expected as Deborah's antics are causing him more and more anxiety. Belek thought that the ugly duckling of the Seymour family suddenly creates an improved formula for mana, and the entire magical world begins to obey it, and this is enough to make him nervous. However, the master understands that the improved formula can be extremely useful to the battle mage Rosard, and this terrifies him even more. Belek understands that Rosard must have already solved all his problems with mana, and is now more dangerous than ever. The butler asks the gentleman if this formula is really so important. He screams and replies that since he does not understand the whole situation, he should not interfere. The servant tells the master that Duke Seymour requires him to come to him. Hearing this, he does not understand why his friend's father called him. The Duke asks Belek if he is going to bring Louis Gazelle and Deborah together without his knowledge. Then he tells her that she did not throw away his gift only because she did not want to harm his reputation. At this time, the guy understands that his father could not guess about his plan, and does not understand why he is forcing him to make excuses. Belek explains that it is a common practice for an older brother to look for a suitable husband for his sister, and believes that Deborah would not accept the gift if she did not like it. The young gentleman claims that it is time for her to think about marriage. Hearing this, the father screams and says that he is impudent, and then asks if he is going to send her to the most remote lands and even into the clutches of such a villager as a Gazelle. Belek says that the Gazelle clan owns large silver mines, and then reminds that he also wanted to introduce Deborah to them. The father asks when he said such a thing. The young gentleman replies that literally last year he kept saying this in Philippe. The Duke says that in any case he has no reason to interfere in the marriage. Balak objects and says that he is the older brother and cannot allow it. But his father interrupts him and says that if he wants to interfere so much, then let him find her an ice mage whose strength will surpass his. The father says that such a son-in-law will suit him. Hearing this, the guy does not understand if there is anyone stronger than his father. The young gentleman says that he understands and therefore asks for forgiveness for causing trouble with his thoughtless behavior. When Belek left the office, he did not understand what was happening because he believed that his father had always been cold-blooded and cynical, and he wondered why he had become so soft. The guy thought that he suspected something was wrong as soon as he bought that pink diamond, and he feels that it will only get worse. At this time, Louis, standing on the balcony, thought that everyone was amazed by his beauty, and then screaming, explains that he is the son of the owner of the silver mines of the West. The main character thought that for some reason, it seemed to her that Lord Isidor was once hanging out in this same place, and she thought that everything was repeating itself. Louis walked up to Deborah and said he was glad they could finally meet in person, and he thought he had greeted her perfectly, and she had liked it. He says that he thinks the lady already knows his name because he is Louis Gazelle, and then says that it is an incredible honor to meet such a beautiful lady like her. Deborah says that he has an impudent face and asks how he dared to show himself to her. The main character says that Catherine Bay, and she thinks that was the name of his mother's maid, whom he first raped and then kicked out of the estate. The lady claims that she is not the first, and the year before, last married 3 years ago, Joan. She says that the maids told her all about his dirty deeds, and then shows the sheet and says that he can read it right here. Louis says no. Deborah says she thinks there are plenty of people willing to talk about it because she doesn't think she needs to dig into the dirt. The lady says that he has a couple of illegal bank accounts in the capital too, and to hide some of the silver he gets from the mines, he will also need a fake ledger. The main character says that she thinks he also took care to make a copy of his father's family seal. Hearing this, the guy does not understand what is wrong with her and how she learned all this. The girl claims that if his father or her brother Belek, who is ready to entrust her to him, finds out about this, she wonders what they will say. Louis asks the lady what she wants because he will do anything. She answers that it is simple and that he should never be seen again, and that she should never even hear his name. The girl tells him to stay in his domain and not to dare to appear here, and then says that she counts to 3. However, he immediately runs around. Deborah looked at the envelope and thought that this information could destroy a person, and she knew that cheater would cope, and she wondered where he learned to get information like that. The servant informs Belek that Mr. Louis Gazelle fell from his horse and was badly hurt. He said that he will not be able to appear in society for some time. Hearing this, the gentleman does not understand why so suddenly, although he believes that his father did not like him anyway, and therefore thinks that everything is for the best. However, he is somehow uneasy. The young gentleman looked at the garden and wondered why his father had changed it, because he understood that it was his mother's favorite rose garden. And when Belek saw his sister, he asked what was going on. She wondered if she needed a reason to chat with her brother. Belek says that as far as he remembers, they were never close, and suggests not beating around the bush, but talking. The young gentleman explains that he has always ignored her, and therefore thinks that she has something to say, for example about her improved formula. Deborah asks if he thinks she came to brag, and then says she doesn't need his apology. The guy heard this and was surprised, then asked what he had done. She explained that all this time he had been calling her stupid and pathetic, and also trying to set her up with a strange man. The girl explains that even his servant ignores her, and she demands an apology. He claims that she really was a complete fool, and offers to remember what she was like, and then asks what else he could do. Deborah says that apparently she won't get an apology, and then throws the envelope at him. The young gentleman asks in surprise what it is. The lady offers him to read it because it is information about Louis. When Belek reads this, he asks in surprise if it's true. His sister asks if he's serious that he didn't know, and then she says that it seems she understands people better than he does. Brother says he studied Louis in detail, but even in Rosa's files, there was no such thing. Hearing this, the young lady thought that this guy was chosen by Rosard, and he was just trying to appropriate his idea. The main character realized that Rosard skillfully planted information about Louis on Belek so that he would insist on his marriage. Belek was satisfied with the presence of silver mines in the groom's bosom because silver increases the conductivity of mana, which is why it is used to create artifacts. And it is not surprising that Belek paid attention to this. Deborah knows that if she were to get mad about the wedding, her father would be angry and would prefer to get rid of her. And if Louis' Grishies had crawled out after the wedding, the squirrel would have been to blame. And she believes that Rosard has thought of everything. The main character thought that it was not so easy to marry her off. And then she asks her brother what he said about her, and then offers to read something else. The young lady understands that the cheater was digging not only under Louis Gazelle, and now she knows his weak spot. Belek reads that the mine he invested in is for sale. The lady explains that it is not really the problem that the silver veins have been depleted. The lady explains that even if they find some ore there, the mine will not pay for itself, and she thinks that her father will be interested in learning the truth about his role in her marriage, since Rosard will reward her generously for the information in this envelope. Belek asks what she wants, because he will do everything. The sister offers him to apologize, and then says that if she hears a sincere apology from him, then maybe she will keep his secret. Hearing this, the guy was surprised, and the lady said that it seemed easier for him to die than to apologize to her, and then he said that apparently this price was too high for him. When the girl decided to leave, he stopped her and said that he was very sorry because he had done bad things and harmed her. Deborah asks what exactly he did. He replies that he was rude and neglectful of her when they met, and he doubted her competence and wanted to marry her off to Louis Gazelle. The girl asks if he has repented. The guy replies that he is sorry that he did not notice her potential earlier. At this time, the lady thought that this worries him the most because he is obsessed with abilities. The main character understands that he was quite convincing and then says that let it be so, because he would do anything for his beloved brother. Belek asks if she forgives him. She replies that she forgives him, but he must sign the contract. The lady explains that it's nothing special. He's just obliged to create artifacts for her whenever she asks. The guy asks in surprise why he would sign it. She replies that a bird whispered to her that he was trying to transform mana into energy. The girl reports that in his basement, under a black stone, a holy artifact is hidden for these purposes. Belek screams and says that it's enough because he already understood that her ability to find out information is amazing. Deborah suggests that he sign and put his whole soul into this signature. He asks if he signs, will she shut up? At this time, the main character thought that now, the best master of artifacts in the Empire was her slave. Walking down the corridor, the girl realizes that everyone has run away, and it seems that rumors about how she turned down Gazelle have already spread. The young lady believes that now she is scaring both girls and boys, and therefore she will be left without a sick partner. The main character understands that she needed to find some candidate, but she was only thinking about money. Suddenly, the girl saw a cat and thought that she would always walk there. Deborah saw that Isidor was petting a cat, and she wondered what this wonderful sight was, because she understood that a handsome man with a cat is ideal. The young gentleman tells the lady that they have not seen each other for a long time. He claims that their last meeting was on the day of her hearing. Isidor says that he was very impressed by the news of her success, and at that moment the cat approached the girl. The guy says that this cat is usually timid, but he thinks that she likes the lady, and then he asks if she has found a gentleman for the ball. Deborah wonders why he asks. He explains that he just thought maybe he would have the honor of accompanying her this time. Isidor explains that he hasn't found a partner yet, and it seems she has the same problem. She understands that he rejected all that crowd of admirers that followed him, and then says that she will think about it. However, she suggests not to get her hopes up too much. The guy asks if he has even a small chance. The girl screams and reminds him that she said she would think about it, and then says that she is actually quite picky. Deborah says that she has to go because she has urgent business. The main character asks Cheater if she's on time. He replies that everything is fine because he was just doing sports. The master asks what brought her to him so suddenly. She explains about the order about Isidor Visconti and asks if he will tell what he managed to find out about him. The girl explains that he without hesitation offered to be her partner at the ball. The master asks if she finds it suspicious and then asks what is wrong with his proposal. The lady explains that she feels that he is up to something and thinks that he must want something from her father. The gentleman says that he does not understand why she is so negative, and then asks her to calm down and look at these materials. The main character asks in surprise what it is, because she thinks that he made a lot of adjustments. The master takes these papers and gives others, and then says that this is the final version, and then says that he tried to describe everything as objectively and clearly as possible. The girl reads that this guy is the most handsome in the empire, owns gold mines, and is an excellent swordsman. Isidor is the only heir in the family, modest, and at the same time determined. Deborah reads this report and asks if he bribed him, and then explains that all this information looks very biased, and wonders if there is anything that bothers him. The master assures that he did not receive money from him, but it seems to him that she is too picky. After all, it is written all over her face. The main character claims that he found nothing, and it smells like a lie, and at that time she thought that she had a feeling that someone more ideal than Isidor does not exist. The young lady thought that if Isidor had not bribed him, then there was only one option left, and they were dating. Deborah claims that she knows how selfish he is. The master replies that she is too suspicious and sees danger everywhere. The main character thought that it seemed he was upset because she did not admire Isidor. The girl reflects on the fact that Isidor is more complex than he seems, and the cheater has social connections, but even he hasn't found anything worthwhile, and now he always acts like his fan. The lady says that this is his payment and then leaves. The master asks the lady who she is going to go to the spring ball with, and then explains that it is nothing special, because he suddenly became curious. The main character says that now she is curious whether he wants to go with her, since she will pay generously, and then she tells him not to worry since she is joking. The gentleman says that it is not funny, and she has a terrible sense of humor. Hearing this, the girl thought that there was nothing to be done, because he was not lacking in directness. Deborah doesn't understand whether she will have to go with Isidor, because she understands that everyone is avoiding her after the incident with Gazelle. On the day of the spring festival, all the aristocrats gathered in the central square. The heir of the Montes family personally helped the lady out of the carriage, and everyone was wondering who this lady was, who was lucky enough to get Philip. The lady says that this is the famous Mia Benocia, and she heard that this lady is from a simple family but has enormous power, and it seems to her that magicians with such pure power can be counted on the fingers. After all, they say that her character is simply angelic. The seller tells the prince that he will show him where he can change clothes. In a few minutes, Mia comes out in a beautiful pink dress, and the man asks what the gentleman will say, and then explains that since he forgave them, they made a luxurious but cute design. The girl says that they did a great job, and then thanks Mr. Philip. He says that it suits her very well, and she is so beautiful, and therefore he is sure that she would make a great goddess. Mia is surprised and says that she would not dare to take such an honorable place. The prince says that then she would have to heal twice as many people, and therefore thinks that it would be difficult. Philip says that the flower of their goddess is considered to be cherry, so during the festival, all the girls buy these flowers. However, he thinks that none of them will look better than her. At this time, the prince thought that people like Deborah Novinica would be left out because she loved provocative clothes too much. He thought it was strange because before she constantly bombarded him with letters, and now there was silence. Philip thought that, however, it was none of his business, because this year the best flower would be Mia. The prince turns to Mia and says that she is so beautiful, and her image is just perfect for the atmosphere of the holiday. When Deborah came to the ball, all the lords were surprised, because she had a pink diamond on her neck that was sold for millions, and the beauty of this stone is incredibly mesmerizing. Deborah came with Isidor. The ladies say that they are very well suited to each other. At this time, the main character thought that the pink diamond was too cute for her image, but her duet with Isidor still looks perfect. The young lady looked at Isidor and thought that pink suits him very well, and she thinks that soon everyone will be discussing his image because it breaks all the stereotypes about men's formal suits. The girl didn't even think that he would actually listen to her. After all, a few days before the ball, she wrote him a letter saying that if he dressed as she told him, she would accept his invitation. The main character understands that it was quite a bold request, but he quickly responded. She believes that if the image of the partners matches right down to the jewelry, it makes a special impression. The lady realizes that this is why they are now the center of attention, and asks the guy if she is walking fast, and then offers to tell him if she needs to slow down. He claims that everything is fine. His Highness the Crown Prince addresses the ladies and gentlemen and expresses his gratitude for their acceptance of the invitation and attendance at the ball. At this time, the main character understands that he is the prince, but it seems to her that his appearance is a little overrated. In the Empire, it is considered that blue is the color of the sea and sky, and also of majesty. And from there comes the word about recognizing blue blood, and also the blue symbol of the imperial family. The girl understands that if everything goes well, one day this prince will become the emperor. Since the second prince is too weak, and the third was born from a woman from another country, and cannot ascend the throne due to the prejudices of the nobility. Despite the fact that his mother loved the emperor, the aristocrats were categorically against his coronation. Isidor asks Miss Deborah to dance, and she agrees. When the girl saw his hand, she thought that it was very big, and at that time she thought that she was so focused on the outfits that she forgot about dancing. The young gentleman asks Milady if she is nervous. The girl replies that she always dances like that, and thought that he was too close to her. He says that there is no parade, and therefore he thinks that she should relax. The main character thought that he smelled delicious. The guy offers her to listen to the melody, and then turns her sharply. And at this time she understands that she does not know how to dance, but cannot say it. But she thinks that it is intimate. The young lady thinks that Isidor is doing a great job as the leading lady, but suddenly she steps on his foot. The young gentleman says that she dances well and is very strong. Hearing this, the girl thinks that she used to be just a log, but she realizes that it is all thanks to her new body. Isidor asks if she stepped on his foot on purpose, and so hard. She objects and says that not at all. Deborah noticed that Philip was looking at her strangely. However, the musicians had already finished playing, and the girl did not even notice how quickly time flew by. He claims that all eyes were directed at her. The lady says she thinks they are all looking at him because she thinks he is the most eligible gentleman today. The main character sees that Philip is looking at her, and this gets on her nerves, and she thinks that he is doing this because she bought the diamond. William turns to Sir Isidor and says that he is so good, and maybe they will be chosen as the best couple. Hearing this, the young gentleman quietly says that they have come to bother him again. The girl asks the gentleman who these people are. He explains that they are Thierry Orgo, and with him the fifth princess. A few days ago, Deborah's case was being investigated. The surprised princess said that she was speechless because she had quickly solved the equation. And then, screaming, she said that only a genius could handle it, and claimed that this lady was smarter than any archmage. Isidor reminds him that he said that she was an interesting lady. However, the princess insists that he bring her to her. At this time, the main character does not understand why this lady is looking at her like that. Thierry tells Isidor that he is simply dazzling today, and then asks if he can compete for the title of best couple, since he will be rooting for him. Deborah understands why this gentleman is so annoying, and believes that Isidor was right about him. The princess coughed slightly. Isidor realized what he had to do, and then turned to Her Highness and said that he wanted to introduce her to the Lady Deborah Seymour. The main character says that it is an honor to meet her, and she sees her in person for the first time, but considers her a nice person. At this time, the lady thought that she does not know why, but the princess made her case public, and therefore everyone quickly learned about the new formula. Vivian says that she has wanted to talk to her for a long time, and then says that she really likes her outfit, and she thinks that the lady knows her worth. Deborah thanks the lady and says that she is very pleased to hear this. The princess says that it is very difficult to meet a bright personality at these monotonous gatherings, and she admires her so much and therefore wants to know more about her. Vivienne tells Deborah that she is inviting her to their club. Isidor is surprised to hear this, and then says that he has not discussed it with her yet. However, she claims that it is not up for discussion. The princess says that as they see it, their leader is the ideal of beauty. Thierry agrees with them and says that he is the most smug, handsome man in their society, and therefore offers to believe, because the lady will not regret, and he guarantees it. Hearing this, the main character thought that judging by the situation, the calculation was that she would not dare to refuse the public, and then she thanks them for the offer. The princess screams and asks why thanks, and then insists that she just walk towards them. The lady says that she will do so. Hearing this, Isidor asks in surprise if this is her decision. She answers that it is, and at that time she thought that otherwise she would break her head while deciding where to join, and also remembers that her father was also in Absalon. The princess says that if she renounces her words so bitterly, the lady replies that she loves these conversations on frequency, and claims that she would not dare to deceive Her Highness. At this time she thought that this brutal honesty is better than elegant pretense. Vivienne says that now they have a member of the Seymour family, and therefore believes that their status will become even higher, and then suggests that Sir Terry bring the documents now. Deborah tells her not to worry, as she will not break her word in front of witnesses. The princess says she hopes so, and then says she heard the lady is attending a magical conference. At this time the prince watched them from afar, and thought that, apparently, Deborah was dragged to Absalon. He understands that this lady is very willful, but even she could not refuse the princess. The prince asks Philippe if he didn't say that Deborah would definitely enter Erechron. He replies that it seems to him that the master was categorically against it, and then asks why he suddenly changed his mind. The prince says that much has changed, and today's ball is proof of that. And his friend says that he did not know that Miss Deborah dances so well, and he claims that if it were not for her character, he would have asked her to dance, because he understands that the most beautiful mushrooms are poisonous. At this time, Philip realized that society's opinion had changed, and that she had recently been considered crazy, and he asks how Isidor had decided to invite her. The gentleman replies that he thinks he was counting on attracting everyone's attention. After all, her pink diamond fit perfectly with the atmosphere of the ball. Philip says that henpecked husbands like him are simply a disgrace to society. The prince says that they can be angry as much as they want, but ladies love that. The young gentleman asks if he can persuade her to his side, because he believes that she has not yet signed the contract, and that she has long been in love with him. Hearing this, Philip screams and says that there is no need to irritate him, and then asks why he should persuade her. And at that time, he thought that he would not humiliate himself in front of her, since she just wants to attract his attention. The young lady thought that she was very hot because of other people's looks, and she thinks that Isidor is cold-blooded because girls keep asking to dance with him. But he doesn't care. She doesn't understand why he is so friendly with her, and thinks that maybe she is imagining things. Deborah realizes that she meets his gaze too often, and the young gentleman asks why she turns away from him and wonders if he is so dazzling. The lady replies that it seems not, and at that moment she thought that he was right in some ways. However, she understands that she must come to her senses because she knows that beauty is treacherous. Isidor tells Milady that she is very strict and he just wants to be naughty. At this time she understands that if she looks at him, she will again fall under his male charms. And then he claims that such pranks do not amuse her. The young gentleman claims that she is so heartless, but everyone else likes her. She understands that they are simply captivated by his face. After all, she knows that even grandfather's jokes would have worked. Suddenly, the main character saw a familiar face, and she doesn't understand where she knows him from. Dira Orgo, unlike his brother Terry, is known for his sense of justice and disgust, and no matter who is in front of him, he deals with criminals without hesitation. And for this he was nicknamed the Judge. The main character remembers that in the book, he protected Mia from Deborah's bullying. And since Mia is the main character, all the male characters revolve around her. Deborah realized that all her suitors had gathered in this place, and the only thing missing was Rosard the third prince. Suddenly the girl saw her brother, and she wondered why he came. He tells Isidor that if Deborah threatens him, he should smear the handkerchief 3 times towards the window, and then suggests remembering this. The young gentleman turns to the lady and says that she seems to get along well with her brother. At this time she thinks that it is immediately obvious that this is not the case. Isidor says that he is a little jealous of her, and then says that he has no sisters or brothers. However, the girl assures him that this is his happiness, because it means that he has fewer enemies. The guy says she's funny and smiles. The girl thought that if only he knew how much effort it took her to pacify her brother, and then she looked at her watch and realized that the masquerade was about to begin. The highlight of the flower festival is the masquerade ball on the main square of the castle. Unlike the closed receptions, which can only be attended by invitation, this one takes place outside. Hiding behind a mask, you cannot care about status and have fun from the heart. However, the main character thinks that unfortunately, she has other plans for the evening. Isidor asks if she will give him one more dance, and then says that he wanted to spend one last song with her. Deborah agrees and thinks that she will leave later than planned. But suddenly Philip comes and says that he also asks her to dance. The main character heard this and was surprised because she doesn't understand why all of a sudden Isidor says that he addressed the lady before him and shouldn't even hope that he will give in. Philip tells the sir that he forgot something and then asks if a girl can dance with only one gentleman at a ball and claims that it is not customary, and therefore he thinks that it would be better for her to dance with him. The main character does not understand why everything is happening right now. Isidor replies that on the contrary, it seems to him that his persistence is even more inappropriate. The prince assures that his intentions are pure and that he, unlike him, did not guard his lady all evening, and then asks if he noticed that no one else dared to invite Lady Deborah. The young gentleman suggests that he not stoop to making excuses and says that he did not follow the girl all evening and did not try to steal her from her gentleman. Philip says that he and Deborah have known each other for 5 years and once almost got married. And then he says that you shouldn't poke your nose into other people's business. Isidor claims that he is right because he thinks that it is really better for him to keep his nose out of his business. At this time, the girl does not understand what is happening because she thinks that everyone is looking at them. Deborah asks Philip since when he cares about her honor and reputation, and then says that all this time he has only caused her pain. He assures that this is why he finally decided to listen to her wishes, and asks if she really does not want to dance with him. At this time, the young lady thought that it was as if she was talking to a wall and thought that all guys were the same. The main character says that any dish will spoil one day, and then says that it is just forgotten and rotten food on her table. Hearing this, Philip asks if she knows how a person feels when they serve him such food. She replies that it's as if they've thrown mud at him. The prince asks if she called him rotten food. The lady replies that she did, and therefore suggests that he not pretend to worry about her, and suggests that he find a partner because she wants to finish this ball with dignity, next to the most beautiful flower. The guard asks Milady where she is going, and also wants to know where she got such clothes. She suggests that he just follow her, and at that time she thought that because of Philip, she had to dance again, and that is why she was almost late. Deborah came to the basement of the house behind the shop with ceramic pots, because there was a secret auction that took place every year on the day of the festival. The girl remembers that in the book, one of the lots of this auction fell into Deborah's hands. It was an ancient artifact that can warm up the sacred egg, and so the lady understands that it will be very useful to her and believes that she must get it. Agiasmas, sacred animals in ancient times, when the world of spirits was opened, born from the connection of spirit and animal, Agiasmas roamed freely on the earth. They swept all their tracks to avoid the darkness that reigned in their world. However, something remained of Agiasma, the immortal, and therefore if you get the right artifact, you can awaken this egg. The girl remembers that Dera Orgo gave her a white turtle, which he personally awakened with the help of an artifact. Agiasma is a white skull that is capable of driving out evil spirits, and is also sensitive to demonic entities and senses cracks in the world. Deborah understands that it can be used in dangerous situations, and it is also small in size, which is very convenient, and therefore she believes that as a villain, it would be useful for her. The main character understands that a whole crowd of people are ready to stand up for Mia, but she will not have this chance, and therefore she must get an artifact that can awaken this egg. The young lady offers the man to stay and wait for her outside. However, he says that the place looks suspicious, and so he will go with her. Deborah screams and asks why, and then asks if he thinks she would do anything illegal. The man objects and says he doesn't think so, and she tells him to stand there and says she will be back by midnight. The man announces that the next lot is a feather of an ancient phoenix bird, and the starting price is 15,000 gold. And then he suggests taking a look at this pure radiance. The main character starts to bargain, and at that moment, she realizes that they called it a phoenix feather, but it looks like a cheap fake. She wonders how many spells are cast on this dyed chicken feather. The young lady understands that all these people are clinging to the chance to get something worthwhile, and do not even look at what they are buying. However, she understands that she is not much different from them, and wonders if she will be lucky today. Deborah thinks that there is a small problem because in the novel, it was said that this artifact is very ancient, and she still does not know what it looks like. In a few minutes, the lady realizes that the crowd has warmed up, and the prices are simply astronomical. She understands that she will not be able to buy everything, and believes that she should not give in to this gambling atmosphere. 20-year-old vice commander, natural genius, who knows nothing except training and sword, honest and respected by all knights and ladies, believes that it should be a sword. The host says that the next lot is the demon slayer, the dark knight's dream, the bastard sword. He offers to look at this skull on the handle and asks if they do not feel this ominous atmosphere. And then he says that the starting price is 50 gold. Deborah realized that this is it, and saw a man who says that he gives this money. The lady realized that the black horse is a symbol of one of the 4 knightly squads, and Dare is from this squad. The main character is sure that this man will try to buy this sword and bring it to Dara, but she thinks that this lot is hers. The lady says she is giving 100,000 gold. The man screams and says that the nice lady has doubled the price. The gentleman says that he gives more, and at this time the main character understood what money is needed for. Some time later, the girl thought that, at first glance, it had little in common with the eggs of Agiasm, and she became interested in whether they could crack the shell, and she thinks that she needs to study this issue. The man shouts that this ancient book of morals contains life wisdom, and lessons from legendary sages, and then announces that the starting price is 60 coins. Hearing this, the girl thought that none of them were interested in this, but suddenly, the man in the white cloak picked up the bag, and the lady thought that he was hiding his face, but his beauty was shining through. The presenter says that there are no takers, and she is sold. At this time, the girl thought that a beautiful soul comes with a beautiful face, but suddenly a stranger approached Deborah, and she does not understand why he did it. Isidor takes off his mask and says that they have met again. The young lady asks in surprise how he recognized her. He replies that they are very observant knights. The guy explains that her gait, her figure, her posture, all of this told him who was in front of him, and also that her hair was visible. Deborah asks him why he needs this thing, and wonders if he wants to read the advice of an old moralist, or if he has other intentions. Isidor says that he can give it to the girl and offers to read it if she is interested. She claims that she does not care about the content. The guy says that he doesn't really need it either, because he was taught the basics of morality and etiquette since childhood. He claims that she is lucky that this book is about something else. The lady asks, in surprise, what is in it. The young gentleman claims that it will be useful to her, and the girl agrees to take it. Isidor asks if she wants to buy anything else. She replied that she had already bought everything, and the guy suggests going outside and admiring the fireworks because they will start soon. The main character understands that all the court magicians will gather to put on an unforgettable show, and thought about what she wants to see, because even in her past life, she had never seen fireworks. Deborah agrees and suggests to go quickly. The girl saw a paper in the guy's hands and asks what it is. He answers that it is a fast travel seal. The lady says that they only need to take a dozen steps, and he asks if such a spectacle does not require the best seats. And then he takes the girl in his arms and says that there are two of them, and therefore it is better to stay closer. A minute later, the man says that they are already there. At this time, she does not understand where they are. Isidor reports that all city residents will see the fireworks, but he believes that they will have a better view there. The girl looked down and thought that if she fell from such a height, she would definitely die. He said that it would start soon, but suddenly the lady heard a strange creak and thought that the balcony could collapse. Deborah grabbed the guy by the hand and screaming says that it is dangerous. He says that the lady is very active today. The girl realized that he decided to play a joke on her and asks about it. Isidor invites her to watch as they begin, and at this time it became very light from the beautiful fireworks. The main character watched this action with delight, and when she came home, she thought that it was as if she had been in a dream, because in fact, she really liked both the ball and the fireworks. However, the girl does not understand how to interpret the guy's words, because she believes that it's all about his face. The butler asks the lady what happened, because she was late, and the gentleman is very worried. She asks in surprise why he was there before her. He replies that it doesn't matter because her father is very worried. Deborah thought about going to see him. Then she came into the office and said that she was back. And at that moment, she realized that he hadn't even looked back because he was so angry. The girl says that she was told that her father was worried about her. He replies that she thinks too much of herself because he only asked when she would arrive, and his assistant exaggerated everything. Her father says that she must have had a good time because she looks happy. At that moment, she thinks that he looks very sullen. The gentleman asks why she is so rumpled. The daughter explains that she was at the night market. Hearing this, the father screams and claims that Visconti is a scoundrel who took her to such a terrible place. The Duke says that this is a meeting place for bandits and swindlers, and believes that it was not for nothing that he had a bad feeling. At this time, the girl thought that it seemed that he simply did not like Isidor. In the morning, Isidor personally came to their estate to take her to the palace. It is a common thing in high society when a gentleman meets his lady with flowers. The father screams and says that he is a boring turkey. At this time, the girl thought that he did not like the color pink and thinks that he is very conservative. The Duke asks if he left her alone with all that rabble. She replies that she went to the night market on her own, and that it has nothing to do with Sir Isidor. He asks who in their right mind would go there of their own free will. The daughter explains that she found out that a very rare item would be presented at the auction, and decided to make sure, and then shows her father the book. The gentleman says in surprise that this book was written by Belman Seymour, the head of the family in the 6th generation. He was a goblin, so the handwriting looks like a cipher, and the text can only be read by reflecting it in a mirror. The father says that it turns out he left his memoirs, but the girl interrupts him and says that this is her gift for him. Deborah explains that she thought the auctioneer had exaggerated its value, but everything turns out that the gift was a success. He asks in surprise if she left the ball for such a dark and dangerous place just to buy a gift for him. The girl assures that this is true, and then asks if she can go because she thinks she doesn't look her best. The father suggests that she take a good rest because he understands that she is very tired. The daughter suggests not to worry about her and then wishes him good night. Suddenly, the main character fell to the floor, and her father asked in surprise what had happened. The girl screamed and said that it couldn't be because her pink diamond was definitely in her inside pocket, and then she said that it was missing.